Pike's pushed Morton far enough ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Good evening and welcome along to the J2iCS Round 10 finale of Season 7 live from the Autodroma International de Algarve. I am James Parfitt, going to be joined in the booth by one Mr. Howie Burroughs, who's going to come along for some epic evening of racing. The race itself is sponsored by Simply Steve, who's put a knot in. Is the the event names are Nottingham and Dickinson Showdown. Also, everyone vote for something not GTE next season. So there we go. On that one, let's bring you up to date with the current standings as they are on the doors going into this one. It's quite a complicated evening on maths that we're going to have to try and do up here in the booth. Dickinson is out in front of 252, tied with Nottingham on the same point. So technically, whoever finishes in front of the other one, straight sprint. Bozak and Josh Spears are very close together as well. Eatma Dust, Urko and Prince Adam are also close together. Spook Dud, Spring and Biker Pilot and Cat Daddy, we have Garlic Dog, are another two fighting it out for that final top 10 position. So that takes us all the way down to Broccoli in 15th, who's looking quite comfortable in 15th place. So they'll be on Simply Steve, Sector, DC, AJ, Long Island Nerds, and the others that haven't really done many races here this evening as well. It's going to be exciting. So some information that we've got on this one. Well, Drivers' Championship, we think, is still wide open. There's still a lot for these guys to be fighting out for, and let's give you a rundown roughly if we can. Nottingham and Dickinson are currently tied at the points. Some rare things that can happen depending on how the people finish. So let's pick up on what can happen. If neither driver show up, which hasn't happened, both are here, or both drivers get disconnected before completing 90% of the race laps and scored 0 points, Nottingham wins. Dickinson would have 3 0-point races, while Nottingham would only have 2, which would mean Nottingham has the highest drop week, 22 points, and he would win. Similarly, if Dickinson doesn't show but Nottingham does, Nottingham wins again. If Nottingham doesn't show but Dickinson does, well, Dickinson only needs 23 points to win. Okay, so at the moment, there's a 22-point gap on the table, by the sounds of it, because of the drop week. So we'll keep that in mind when we try and bring you the maths of what's going on here. Bonus points for pole position, bonus points for the fastest lap. There's no drop points in the team standings. So the current team standings has literally Night Racing out in front by 545 with Up Front Motorsports on 528. So that is basically still up for grabs as well. And hopefully we will try and do maths in the process. But let's bring in Howie into the booth. Howie, how are you?
I'm doing great, and I really, really love this track. It's become quite the modern classic for GT cars, really, since it was introduced. It feels like it was introduced yesterday, last season, 2 minutes ago. It's around. It does burn my graphics card to a crisp, so I feel bad for you in the process, but it's super wide, super fun. They say passing is hard. I think you just have to earn your passes. It's no Imola. It is a track where there's so wide, there's space to make crazy moves, and there are gonna be those moves. This is a crown dual race. It's double the length, and the points are multiplied by 1.5. I'm going to try my best to work out some of the maths on the points as we go through this. I doubt either of us are going to be perfect at this time of day, but it's a challenge, and it's one worth rising to.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think at the end of the day, we will try and do what we can, guys, all right? So just bear with us. We will try and bring you up. As I said, by the sounds of it, Notvin has got 22 points gap at the moment, which includes his drop. So we'll try and stay on top. We're going into the last 30 seconds of qualifying. As we said, it's a crown jewel event, which means it is 2 hours long. Okay, so it will be 2 hours long here this evening as well, which will mean involving pit stops taking place here tonight. So that's going to be another interesting one. Throws another spanner into the works here as well. Howie, pit stops always opens it up.
They don't call it the Endurance Series for nothing. We've seen some real drama kick off in the pit lane in prior weeks. They can make or break your races. I would say that we wouldn't see too much door banging around here, too much damage, but I think anybody going knives out for a championship is going to make some contact along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see what happens. You see some of the scores on the board. Dickinson is on pole position currently as they stand from the Upfront Motorsports. So we'll see how they go on, and as we're coming literally at the end here, so we'll bring you up the grid very, very shortly, and then we're gonna get the racing underway. So let's keep an eye, see how we get on, and see how it all goes. And I think this could be a very interesting. It's not a circuit though, Howie, that you generally see as the championship decider on a calendar.
I've seen championships opened here. I've not seen them ended here, but I don't see why it shouldn't be used. This circuit became most popular for the Portuguese Grand Prix in Formula One, where, unlike many new F1 tracks, I'd say it put on quite a good show. But I've been reeling around this in GTs ever since it was introduced into iRacing. Super challenging, a lot of very blind corners, and of course that roller coaster up and down. You go up the hill one way, down the hill the other way. That sweeping final bend. The thing that strikes me is the width of this track. You can fit so many wide on this track that even though some of the angles are harder to pass on, you ultimately can sort of make it up in just the amount of space you have everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. There's one nice wide circuit there, and these are going to be able to go at least a couple wide, if not 3 wide at certain occasions, if they are close enough as well. So we'll keep an eye and see how this one goes. Quality should be coming to the end. Qualifying will be finished very, very shortly, and it looks like Dickinson's got the upper hand at the moment on that one, with Squilliam sitting in second place, Josh Spears in third, Notvin is in fourth, but as we know, Notvin doesn't qualify very well at all. So yeah, for Hayden Fowler, aka Notvin, he's only had 1 pole all season, and well, that does explain his qualifying racing here as well. So Dickinson will be on pole position, Squilliam in second, Joshua Spears in third, Notvin in fourth, Simply Steve in fifth, Bozak will be sixth. Then we'll have Prince Adam and Gavin Maverman on 7 and 8, Urko and Eat My Dust on 9 and 10, Springflower and Biker Pilot will be down in rounding out the top 12. Then Jason Woniacki and Broccoli Motorsports in 13th and 14th. Gareth McAllister in 15th. Brian Schwab 16th. And Gal Rose in 17th place. The 17 cars should be taken to the start line, ready to go. We will have the full pace lap, of course, so we will have to wait for that pace lap to take place and before we can get the racing up and running here, Howie. I think, who's going to win?
We're going to see a back marker charge from Schwab, I think. That's how I'm going to call this one.
Okay. Wow. Short and sweet from Howie on that one, wasn't it? You know what I mean?
I can't call this championship, so I might just let it play out, unless it's a back marker charge from either Schwab or Flower, to be honest. I'm just calling out random stuff. I'm going crazy. There's too many things to think about right now, so maybe you should just write me off for like the next few minutes as a slight lunatic, and I'll get back into the real world.
Well, we've got to get this pace lap over and done with, so before these guys get going. Good luck, Sean and Josh. So Sean Dickinson in first in the championship. Josh Spears in fourth has got the opportunity to go into third place here. So let's see what happens and what takes place. Just be aware. Very, very interesting indeed. Oh, we're going round now as well on the run down to Torvip, which is the left-hander. You can see the cars in the top right-hander of the pace on the track map, and then we will be up and running.
Long day ahead, but very often I find on the track that, as ever, the time just sort of disappears into nothing. Don't want to say that to me after I ran a 3-hour endurance solo last week, so I've almost got a little bit of that in me, but certainly it does feel like 2 hours, we're going to be here for a whole lifetime. Then the race is just excitement in an absolute flash. We've seen a lot of teamwork play out in this series. Thankfully, this is a series where those teams use very identifiable car designs, and I think we will probably see plenty of that coming into play as well. Bozak's 2 positions back right now, can't quite take advantage, but it's going to be so much strategy. It's going to be such a long day that you can't really write out anything in this top 6. To be honest, the thing I'm going to call the thing that's not going to happen. We're not going to have off-track drive-through fastest. I get off tracks here all the time, but it's very consistent when you do so, and it's a skill issue. These drivers are certainly better than me, and I wouldn't call any of the off tracks here crazy. So I think we'll see some clean running on the track at the very least.
Yeah, I haven't really seen how the off-tracks work at Algarve, to be blatantly honest with you. I know, obviously, there's other tracks where they're ludicrously tight. Spa is one, Red Bull Ring is another, and Monza could be one as well, if you include going around Lesmo 1 and 2 and running a little bit wide. But here itself, I've not heard many complaints about the off-track, so I'm hoping that, you know, iRates have been a little bit sensible, almost put a white line around the circuit and pulled it a metre out. That would probably sum up.
I believe it's half the car over the line consistently across the whole track with no extra side rules, which is nice to know.
Okay, well, there you go. Right, through the final corner we go. We will try and do some scoring as we go, probably bring you it on the top of the hour, and then we've probably half an hour to go if we can. But at the moment, Dickinson is leading the field away here, currently for the up front motorsports team, and then Squilliam alongside him in the back marker motorsports, and then we've got Josh Spears there as well, the recognisable blue and yellow. Ladies and gentlemen, the final round, the crown jewel is off and running, and I can tell you one thing, the guys from Nike did not get off the line well. Squilliam, however, did. He is in there at the same time. Dickinson and Josh Spears both got a jump right at the beginning. There's contact between one of the Night Boys and Josh Spears already. Oh, Spears got a hit there. Not quite sure who it was from. It was from one of the Night guys at the front end. Whether or not it'd be Notavan, whether or not, I think, to be honest with you, it could have quite easily have been Notavan at the moment. He's got Squilliam in front of him. He just can't get past. He knows the urgency. Going down into Torvip, he's going to look at the inside line. He is. Squilliam's going to have to try and give it up. He's going to try and go around the outside. Notovan's giving him a little bit of an argy-bargy. Didn't quite get him that time, but you can see at the moment, Dickinson's running around, and Joshua Spears is out before we've even got going. But the good thing is we've got 2 hours to go.
Well, the green team will be thankful that it was Dickinson that stayed out ahead instead of their teammate, because that leaves his championship battle still on. We said Nodovan doesn't qualify well, but we forgot that he races well. That's how you end up at the top of the championship. Made it up to the P2 straight away. Dickinson 2.5 seconds down the road. It's a fantastic start, but a very, very long day as well. No, I would say no need to make crazy moves, but then we did just see turn 1.
Yeah, this is turn 1. Now, is that Nodovan? Oh, it is Nodovan on the inside of Spears. They make contact, and unfortunately for Josh, that is the situation for him. He's gone off the side of the circuit. Dickinson at the moment 2.5 seconds up the road. Squilliam 2/10 back as they come over to complete lap of number 1 down to Primera, the right hander for turn number 1. Nodovan is under pressure from Squilliam. He's trying to pull away. Simply Steve's in there. Bozak again from the night racing is in front. Prince Adam tucked in behind. Nearly was not tucked in behind and nearly tucked up the back end of Bozak.
I say it every week we bring in these cars. It's one of those days where the lack of ABS is going to really add up a little bit, and we're going to see a few nasty lockups. Just correcting what I knew about the off-tracks here. When it's on the asphalt, it is all 4 wheels over the line at all times. So we've seen a few drivers dip that already, but it's not a super consistent element in this track that, oh, you always see drivers going off and getting time penalties, thankfully here. It takes a lot of effort to get 4 wheels off that side of the line. You should see how many instances I get here, though. It's common for me, but that's why these drivers are here, better than me at it.
You can see Josh Spears sitting down in 10th for the moment, trying to catch up with Urko in front, and we've got Spring Flower in the Ford. That's one of 2 Fords. Gareth McAllister is also in the Ford there as well. The man from Oz, Gal Rose, is not taking part and is basically leaves us with 16 running at the moment. Nodovan and Squilliam are still fighting out. Dickinson's still going, clearing away as they go through Galp, down through the final corner, plunge down the hill. Squilliam's going to look for the fast run around the outside if he can. He's going to have the pace on him now. He's almost trying to tuck in. Nodovan almost doesn't want him to tuck in. Side by side, going down into Primera, turn number 1, the right-hander. Nodovan's going to have the inside line. This is doing him no favours whatsoever with this fight, and what he needs is simply Steve to get hold of the back of Squilliam and start putting pressure on him so Nodovan can pull away and get on his bike a bit to try and get Dickinson. That's what he needs to do. That's what he's got to do here at Nodovan and Dickinson, and Nodovan has got to get there.
And we're going to focus on this top 2 championship battle, but these crown jewels in J2iCS always attract huge battles up and down the fields and drivers swinging massively in the championship. 1.5 times the points means any position in any battle for any of these drivers is 3 positions for them on the road. So there is a top 2 championship clash. It's exciting down the road. But these people are going to interfere all over the place because every position for them is a massive gain in this super long, super rewarding race.
This is the J2iCS's first visit to the Algarve circuit, so they've never been here before, but it could be an exciting one because obviously, as you said, the track's quite wide. It does allow them to race as well. Now Steve's putting Squilliam under pressure, which is allowing Nodovan to break away. Urko is in this pack with Josh Spears, Springflower and Prince Adams a little bit further up the road actually, but with Springflower and Spears now back up to 8th place after making his way through from the back end after being caught up in a little bit of an incident. It looks like he's also going to get the Ford of Springflower here as they're going to be running side by side down into turn 1. Spears in the left hand in the green, white and black machine. And that Ford has got some grunt on it, Howie, to the point of where he held on for that going into turn 1.
I'm not going to spend the next half an hour glazing over the Ford because I think I do that every time I'm here, but this could be one of the last series that sees the GTE. I think I'll talk about the implications of that one a little bit later. No drop weeks in this team championship, so Josh Spears is going to get a bit impatient back here because the points mean just as much for the teams. It's not quite the exciting championship result, but you don't want to be this far back when the other team's getting double points on you. You don't at all. You don't want to be stuck behind traffic. You have space to go side by side here. But a lot of the passing zones, I think people are going to try some wild dive bombs.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the thing.
Yeah, I think you're right, to be blatantly honest. I think, especially with the fact that the team championships is still wide open, not having a Bozak can still catch up front of Dickinson and Spears. And Spears is trying, if he can, to clear Spring Flower. Needs to get on to the backmarker motorsport of Prince Adam and then get further up to Bozak. So Spears does go up the inside. The Ford goes in a little bit deep there and is now on their way around Sagres, the top part, before they drop down into Galp, which is the plunge over the hill down the right-hand side here. So still all to play for as we go on board with Spring Flower. You see the dropping down, but then we'll stay on board with him as well here, Howie. It's very, very up and down this circuit.
It does certainly make you feel sick as you run around it. I call it the roller coaster for good reason. A Spring Flower tries to jump into this corner. Giant sausage on the inside there means you can't really make the attack there, but it tightens up into this very harsh turn, and that's where, if you're close enough, you want to save the move for, and then it goes up the hill. If you don't know the track well, you get caught out by a few blind corners as you go up the hill, especially on this next big left-hander. You're going to corner named, I'm unfortunately not. And okay, it's not blind at all, but I'll tell you what, it is tighter than you think it is. And then as you go back all the way further up the hill over these next few corners, they are deceptive. They look loose and then they suddenly snap on you and they're very, very tight. And so it takes a lot of time to learn this track, especially if you're brand new to it, like the whole series is.
Yeah, Urko's just cleared, taking the inside line away from Spring Flower as well. Through Craig Jones up into Portimao. The right-hander, Spring Flower's looking at coming back on the inside, gets a little bit close to Urko, but he does make that position and gets that swap there now once more. Down onto the run from Portimao, down to the left-hander, and then we're going back up the hill again into Sagres and down the other side as well. It's very up and down. It's elevated up, elevated down, elevated in and elevated out is Algarve. So stay tuned and see how these drivers handle this circuit. Nice little battle back here from 8th, 9th and 10th. Spring Flower up 3. Gavin Averman down 2 at the moment, bringing the gainers and losers on the left-hand side. You can see Nottingham up 2. Squilliam down 1. Steve, Bozak and Adam up 1. Spears down 4. We saw what happened to Josh. He's still fighting his way back through the grid. Spring Flower up 3. Urko not moved. Averman down 2. McAllister up 4. Winecki up 1. Biker Pilot down 1. Broccoli hasn't moved. Schwab's up 1. And the Eat My Dust is down 6 places. And Ryan Schwab looks like he's had a moment here, unfortunately for him. What did... Oh, your back end's going round. Regardless of that. Going too fast. And off it
like
goes.
The sixth sense. You see it coming before I even think there's a problem. It just comes out of nowhere. You know it.
Mate, I'm about 2,000 plus broadcasts in at the moment. So, yeah, trust me, you can see a lot of things that are happening before they actually happen here. And, yeah, one of them is he entered that corner far too quick and was never going to make it round on that one. It looks like Urko can't get near Spring Flower either. Ryan Schwab is having a nice little battle down here with Broccoli at this moment in time. Give the back end some love here. And a great job from all of these drivers as the front 4, well, probably the front 7 at the moment have kind of settled down a little bit. So there's no real action taking place at the front at the moment. What would you say this first half was here, Howie, of a race like this? Is it just sort of trying to maintain your position, maybe pick up positions where you can, but you're not really pushing it this early on?
When I'm in races like this, where I'm aware that it's going to be all about this long-run pit strategy, it could even be 2 pit stops here. We're not quite sure as to whether there's going to be enough fuel to make the whole second one. I like to just focus when I'm not in a tight battle like this one with Spring Flower and Urko on the field, to just make sure I'm getting good laps in a row. Even if I don't see that I'm getting close to the guy in front, it will even out over time when we both go into the pits, we both get our good in-laps and out-laps. And I'll make up that time and I'll make up those places when it counts. I have just come out of a 3-hour endurance a couple days ago. more like last weekend, the week flies by. And, you know, I made up 20 or so positions from lap 1, and that wasn't by like diving past 20 people. It's just by running my own race and letting the pit stops and letting that timing just sort of slowly sort out who had the best place on the road. Although looking at Nottavin, he's closed in closer than he was to start. I think it was 2.5 seconds at the very start of this race. Now it's 1.5.
About 1.1, I think he's pulled in there. 4 temps last lap, 4 temps 6th, 3 temps, 2 temps. So yeah, he's got about 1.4 seconds he's pulled in so far over Dickinson, and Squilliam is another one. Now Squilliam obviously was backing away, kind of got caught up a little bit with Simply Steve, who's kind of lost contact, but Squilliam's been quicker over the last 5 laps there. Well, let's see what he gets on this one. 6 laps, so Squilliam has been a little bit quicker pulling in Nottavin. Nottavin's been quicker pulling in Dickinson. So yeah, Dickinson was 10th and a bit quicker last time out, so all of it still to play for. Very backwards and forwards at the moment. You can see Steve's dropped off just a little bit here as well, and lost a place to Bozak now. So Simply Steve unfortunately has lost a place to Bozak, and Bozak moves himself up into 4th place, which is not good for Josh Bitters. I mean, it's an extra place he's got to try and go forward with. So we'll keep an eye on the selection of battles as we go through. You can see the ones that are in orange are very close together. The ones that are in yellow are just 5 temps back at this moment in time. Where is...
That's not how you take that corner, mate.
No, that's
the whole way.
Yeah, that's an emergency. Would never ever pull off a race like that unless something has gone severely wrong. Yep, he just pulls off, gets it stopped. And unfortunately for Simply Steve, it looks like he airs out of this race. Hope everything is all right there, dear
Doing
sir.
it safely, of course, and we'll might hear back in the chat down the line as to what happened. Real life comes first ahead of sim racing, unfortunately.
It does. It does. Virtual race cars do not take precedent over real life scenarios. So, yeah, I hope everything's all right for you there, Steve. And take care, buddy, on that one. Urko's still battling away with Spring Flower. That Porsche doesn't seem to quite have the grunt of the Ford and can't quite make it past him.
Well, we were briefed before this race that drivers were finding it hard to pass here, and I can see both sides of that argument because of these very tight, unusually angled corners. You do sort of need to send it at people. Like this corner, it looks like a great passing opportunity. Trust me, it isn't. Doesn't quite happen. It needs to open up into the next few corners, but those will be made harder by the one prior. We were warned that there were possible dive bombs on the table. That eventually people would get impatient. There is space to run that side by side, but there's no corner here that I would call normal under any circumstances. They're all just a little bit crazy. Feels like maybe you got this like master architect to like sketch it together sometimes. Some of these corners, some of the radiuses on them, they're like things you've never seen before. But it's what makes it such a fun track in the sim to nail down.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's the different range of circuits we've had this season have been very interesting. And I think now coming to Algarve, as I said, for a season closer, you never have. I've never seen this on a calendar before where it's a season closer. The last round, it wouldn't happen. You know what I mean? You would never ever see it. But I think the fact that obviously some of the tracks that we've been to here have been really good for the racing. So, and of course for us, it was always going to be tough because we didn't come in till I think it was like round 7, I believe we started broadcasting this race. So I think, you know, they've had a lot to contend with this season, this league, and I think they've done really well with it, and fair play to them. I think it's always going to be tough on that one. And obviously it's been to the likes of Road America, Silverstone, Le Mans, Road Atlanta, Spa, Mazzano, Mid-Ohio, Sebring, Imola, and now the Algarve. We started all the way back on May 29th, of course. So, you know, a long old time ago for some of these drivers to get to this point.
Yeah, such a crazy variety of tracks there. I find Le Mans to be the interesting one that stands out. Would have loved to know how that race went, because I found in GT cars without multi-class, it's a bit strange. It doesn't really play out like you'd expect it to. But I like seeing stuff that is well liked, but not like all time, the obvious famous ones in season finales. Ones that could also be a little bit of a curveball towards drivers. We've seen tracks like Imola, which I could swear we were going to see no good racing in, see an epic battle and some incredible moments. So this race is going to be a bit slower, but it's not going to be bereft of action at all. Not a bit with half a second, and Squilliam's just looking behind. You know, what's wrong with taking P1 in a possible championship fight that you're not involved in? Squilliam's going to be looking to get involved in this battle whenever one of the two messes up, but with this gap now sort of within striking distance, I wonder if we're going to see tensions boil over for the championship. It's rare that you see totally even drivers going into the last race. It often leads to some outrageous driving you usually wouldn't see any other day of the week.
I know what you're saying, right? There's been, you know, Hill, Schumacher, Mansell, Senna, Prost, Senna. There's been loads of moments between championship contenders in IRL. I'm hoping it's not going to be seen here. I think these guys have been together this season. I don't think, you know, there's been any real major dirty driving. As I say, we didn't come into August 28th. Was Mid-Ohio was our first one. So I'm hoping that obviously there isn't, and I can't really see anybody driving in that way. I think the mistakes and some of the things that we've seen have just been just that, mistakes. There's never been anything malicious. There's never been anything that, you know, you can sit back and think, oh, that was a little bit close, but I don't think you're, there is that here.
Simply Steve reporting back that it was a hardware failure on VR causing this tow. He might make it back to the track, but maybe not within rate of contention. I've run in VR and that happens to me all the time. So I don't think we'll see like actively anyone try to take anyone else out. You don't do that to your friends in the league. But that doesn't, to me, it doesn't mean that like moves still end up on that you don't necessarily think were on, because you're just trying to make it happen, yeah? And it takes an inch, it takes just sometimes for someone being a little bit of an inch over from where you'd expect them to be in order for something to suddenly blow up and surprise everybody. And I don't think anyone, if someone wants to intentionally take up someone else, they'll be enjoying a league ban. But what we'll get instead is some tension in the way drivers drive, and we've seen this in prior rounds, that like, you know, these drivers are driving respectfully, but a little bit of tension, a little bit of impatience, just about pushes someone over the edge and leads them to just make that little mistake and it blows up. As this battle between Urko and Springflower rages on. I'm seeing a lot of drivers actually racking up these off tracks, more than I expected. They are very clear to our eyes. I don't want to say the drive-throughs could be a factor, but they could.
Just looking, Urko has made it through on Springflower now, but going down the pace, that Porsche had nothing on that Ford. The Ford literally motored away as well. Amerman now going to be tucking in the front three, still within 6/10 of each other. As a moment, you can see it's, well, 6-3 at the moment between the top three as they continue to fight on. Gavin Amerman is now going to try and get past Springflower here to see what if he can make it through. It took Urko a good few laps to get past that Ford, so we'll see if the Porsche of Springflower can do that any quicker. The front three, though, Howie, are locked into their battle where we expect them to be here, and that is obviously Dickinson, Notovin, and also the sprint champion, which is Mr. Squilliam. Of course, Squilliam up the championship up in the sprint series last week.
All that with a qualifying ban as well. Unbelievable. I can see impatience boiling over on a few of the drivers around it. It's a massive credit to Notovin that, you know, in 20 minutes, he's made it from 2 seconds back to on the bumper of his opponent. That might have omens for the way the rest of this race plays out. There is some huge pace on this track, but Squilliam looks like the wild card to me. I think he's fully entitled to fight for his own side here, but if he ends up in the way, it's just going to be this like extra element. This third driver that isn't even like for either of these drivers. He's for himself. He's here to kill out there. And it's absolutely looking like Squilliam's actually the one that might make the first move. We've seen him tuck out so many times. That's going to make Notabin nervous. That's then going to change the way he attacks Dickinson. Everybody's affecting everybody else in this little train. A three-team battle for the lead. Oi, oi, Squilliam, not a fan of flashlight blinking. Maybe they like it. I don't like it. Nothing would make me brake check someone more than being flashlight flash for position. I think we'll see some more of that given the foggy conditions, though.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Conditions play a massive part, and I think Squilliam there, fortunately, on the lights, and of course the Super Formula Lights champion is Squilliam from that sprint series. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he gets on and how he's going to do here. Just looks like he's just having fun out there, Howie, isn't it?
There's less on the line for him. I mean, everybody likes to do well in a championship. Everybody likes to do well in a sprint race, and I'm sure finishing here will give him positions. But gaining positions outside of first is nothing like winning first. So you can be a bit more relaxed. Maybe you can mess around a bit. Maybe that's what I'm going to call the flashing on the lights. You can just sort of play your own game without the pressure of every last moment being a championship win or loss. Just try and win a race for the sake of winning a race. I think mentally, Squilliam's got this advantage deep down in his head that this isn't this long rivalry that's been brewing, and also he already had a championship under his name, so what more is taking another win the very next day? He's here to have fun, and I think that is going to be the wild card today. I wouldn't be surprised if an actually serious prediction and not just me thinking a backmarker. I wouldn't be surprised if, after strategy plays out, he's a contender to win at this point. I think the pace is totally there.
Yeah, I think you might be right, and any one of these front three could win. Urko, Springflower, and Amerman still having a battle out. These guys just look like they're playing very follow me leader, where these guys have been having a go and swapping positions. Amerman again, just whether or not he's got the pace of that Ford as they come down in, well, he's going up the left part past Craig Jones up into Portimao through the right-hander before they plunge the other side. Then before the left-hander that leads them up to Sagres. So, yeah, all to play for. But now can Amerman find some pace in that Porsche and manage to get past the Ford? Springflower almost come to a sudden stop there. Looks like made a mistake. Is that going to put Amerman up the inside? Through Sagres they go. Not this time around. Now they're going to go up the other side briefly before you plunge down again through Galp. Final corner, there you go, all the way through. Now it's just a flat-out sprint race. Let's see how this Porsche gets on. Has it got the nose over the Ford? He hasn't. He's had to slip back in already, and now he just cannot get through whatsoever. I don't think that Porsche has got the pace, 260 kph, and still can't on that Porsche there, Howie, unfortunately. It just looks like it has not. I'm going to switch that to miles per hour because that's what I work in. Has not got the pace of that Ford.
Very often, the Porsche in GT series is sort of the cornering car, and if I could think of a straight lines car, it is probably the Ford with the giant V8 in the back. So that's going to constantly set this Porsche a little bit behind in that final flat-out corner as you run down the hill and up the straight. Turn one, we've not really seen it play out as a massive overtaking opportunity. It's where you set up. So if you can't get it in this sort of twisty middle part of the track, it's unlikely that you'll get it on this straight in a car like this. These cars are not terribly slipstreamy. So we're going to be stuck here for a while unless a big move is made.
Who's going to have the diving ability? Let's put it that way on who's going to be late on the brakes. Well, Squilliam's putting Notovin under a load of pressure once more. They're coming around the final corner again. It's a Corvette Ford drag now. Over the line they go.
And he has made it in this time.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I see that Squilliam has made it over Notovin.
Yeah, just
As
a
I
minute ago.
thought, the wild card resumes. A clean pass made, likely down the back final few corners into the straight of that track as my algebra is working out for me there.
Are you doing maths, Howie?
That's for later. That's for when
Yeah,
championship
down the
points are on
start,
line,
start
but,
finish straight down into turn 1.
you know, get the trigonometry of how you get through these corners. Secondary school come into use for me again, I guess. But Squilliam is just, I can see that he's sort of got that fire in him that if he snipes this P1 and he gets down the road, then it sort of becomes this battle for second between the next two drivers. He's no longer a factor. That would be funny, having him just sort of beat both the championship rivals on the road in the endurance race down the line. But what a way to wrap up your season.
Yeah, I don't know if he's got the pace to get away. I think he's got the pace to do the overtake, which is what he did do. I'm not quite sure he's got the pace to get away here. Springflower's going to try and have a dive up the inside, trying to put Urko off there. Nothing doing through the right-hander. Samson now on the run down the hill into Craig Jones, the left-hander here, before they go into Portimao, the top part of the circuit again. Almost another downhill zone once more. Goes Squilliam, says Penny. Put in YouTube chat there, and he is currently sitting in second place. He's going to come over the hill, not very far behind Dickinson at all here. If this turns out Squilliam does take the victory, I thought he was going to have a go there. I do wonder whether or not who's going to end up second. Is it going to be Notvin? Is it going to be Dickinson? Because neither of them are very far away from each other.
I mean, if I'm Dickinson here and I'm prioritizing my championship, a part of me feels like sort of letting, possibly, if Squilliam's going to bother me and be constantly in my rear, if he can be between us, that's fantastic. But if he is just going to fight me and battle me and chase me and try and get up my inside, it's almost just like letting him go and not defending it. Because then you don't have this sort of third driver completely interfering with your battle. If Dickinson's confident he can keep Squilliam behind, and to be fair, he's kept everyone behind so far. So keeping people behind has been the #1 quality of this lead run. Then there might be a difference in strategy that plays up, as Squilliam is not part of this battle. And if it goes down to drivers being literally like one position behind you, that's still a championship win, to my belief. I believe these drop rounds only truly come into effect if we see some bigger differences in results between the two here. Otherwise, this will be the highest performing result. The drops will remain the same. So it's looking still like that 1-2 showdown. Squilliam has that like body language of impatience, of like, let me through. I mean, we saw it from the lights. That's what we call impatience on the road. But I just constantly see him like he's not running his own race here. He's trying to snipe this P1 and get better lines wherever possible. He is not content finishing second in this race, and he thinks he has the run coming out of that final corner. Greater speed, it's got a small slipstream, but that exit, he's taken the P1. Let's see how he works with this now, whether he keeps this train and it just keeps becoming a battle until the end of time, or whether he's the fastest of this pack.
I wouldn't like to think he was the fastest. I don't think he's the fastest here. I think the likes of Dickinson and Notvin could probably stay with him. I don't think, you know, Squilliam's quite got the pace to pull away. I might be wrong on that. You know, don't get me wrong. This is a Super Formula Lights champion that's jumped into a GTE car and is quick no matter what the car he's in, which in hindsight kind of makes me, I have to practice for ages in cars to get quick at them. And it seems like Squilliam just jumps from one into another. So, yeah, that's not ideal, but, you know, it's ideal for him and ideal for Dickinson now. Is Dickinson just going to use him to follow?
Well, there isn't too much of an advantage, other than fuel, of being behind someone. I think if you're consistently running behind someone, you might make out on fuel, which could be a factor. As we think that pit window is going to be within 50 to 55 minutes, multiply that by 2. I don't even need to do those maths to work out that isn't quite race distance, and we're not completely sure whether drivers are going to make it the whole way. Squilliam's got pace, actually, making this to 0.6 of a second in just a lap, or possibly 2, but I'm seeing these drivers continue to sort of take some liberties with these track limits as he tries to break this toe. Squilliam is undoubtedly fast out here. I think things will change when pit stops happen, but I do feel like Squilliam's in control, and that changes the complexion of this battle for Dickinson. He doesn't have to worry about some random third driver who doesn't even have a stake in this, dropping in and trying to be the big boy. As I said, let him through. and now focus on your battle. And now Notabin, who lost out a little bit on the car in front when he was passed by William, is now back right in Dickinson's rear bumper. Both drivers, I think, are where they want to be and where they don't want to be at the same time, as that's Dickinson running a little bit wide again and a little bit slow on exit, and that's going to let Notabin get side by side. We turn right here now, though, twice. Sort of loses you that inside advantage. A lot of these corners you can be on alongside, but in the next corner robs you sort of that joy unless you can truly make that run. It's really that last straight that we're seeing a lot of the action around here. We saw Notabin kind of get a better run out of some corners. I think he will look to make a move before this first pit stop cycle. We've still got about 20 minutes to go, so a long time on the road.
Oh, you not. Bounced over sausage curb. Watch the back end.
Those curbs are just absolutely lethal weapons.
The problem is he hit that one, which then unsettled the whole nature of the car, and instead of kind of just easing a minute, he's still a little bit squibbly, and then all of a sudden the back end says, I'm not settled, I'm going round, I'm not settled, you didn't let me settle down. And he just, again, with that and dragging it too much into the corner and carrying too much pace, unfortunately. Yeah, it was a lovely audition for a ballet there as well. Nick Trollman is in YouTube chat. Squilly, good lord, he's put there, of course. The Super Formula Lights champion. So fair play. What is Engelman going to be able to do? Is this Porsche going to have the grunt of the Ford? He's got to go in. He's going to send it in. I think Lauer there just kind of conceded that position. How he didn't really put up a fight for it, and it did look a little bit easier for Gavin Haverman.
They're trading places really on this road at the moment. I think this cornering advantage is really starting to pay off for this Porsche, though. If you get the inside line into that Primera turn, then you have the inside again and the inside again into Lagos before you finally make it onto the next sector of the track. So we're seeing people open up that line early on. That's, even though it's not a great overtaking corner in itself, if you get that advantage into the first one, you then have what it takes to advance in the next one and the next one. Unlike quite a few of these where you go left, right, you need to be ahead or you're just losing your line again. So it's really this like sort of end to start segment again where it's all happening. You make up time in the rest of the track, and then you hope you have a better run going down Galp corner at the very end. As we can see up front, Squilliam's pulled out a whole second to Dickinson. He's off. He's out of here. He wants to win again on his championship week. Why not?
Yeah, it's whoever finishes in front between the other two, I believe, who will just wrap up the championship. So it's going to be very, very interesting with the scores. We'll give you them at the top of the hour, and then for just before the end of the race, and then, well, try to do it. Notvin's about 6 tenths back, 34 minutes of 2 hours, and these guys are going to put themselves through a bit of a mentally drained ringer here, Howie, because 2 hours is quite a long time in the car.
You start to lose concentration after a while, and then you start to miss corners, and then the person behind you that has that concentration sort of takes the best of it. From my experience, like the halfway point is where you look at the clock and you go, oh God, I'm only halfway. And then you sort of don't perk up until the last half an hour when you think, oh, I can actually do this. So we might be reaching sort of lethargic hours soon. It starts to feel very early on like you're here for all eternity. I'm looking at some of these sort of like spins and incidents.
It's coming back end, going round.
I'm curious if you know anything about the weather here.
About the what?
About the weather here, because it's a very hot country. It looks a bit cool on the track, but I wonder if tyre temperatures are leading to some of these rear ends just sort of losing it.
23 degrees centigrade.
So not really, but it is very, very humid.
Yeah,
I think drivers put too much into these tyres.
Yeah, I think that for me, I think one of the things you're seeing with these is obviously that, like, for instance, Jason Winnicky here. he just approaches the corner too fast, and trying to brake drag the car around and corner at the speed he was, that Porsche was never ever gonna like that. It's you know, same thing. Ryan Schwab there, he just unsettled the car. He went into the next part. The car's still not 100% settled at this moment in time, and the back end again too quick, just dragging it round, and unfortunately it's just too quick of a motion. The back end is always gonna come round, and I think they've just got to settle down. You know, if you're finding that that's happening, then take the brakes a little bit earlier, and you know, make sure that you can get round the corner safely. Getting round at the end of the day is more important, really, because obviously you can see that the pack is very spread out, the field's very spread, and you know that this session goes on and the tyre changes take a while, you know, go further and further up towards the pit stop. There's going to be more and more people struggling. The problem, obviously, you don't want to be one of these people. So just settle down in the car. You've got 2 hours, you've still got an hour and 25 on the clock. Just settle down and, you know, take it a little bit easier. Eat My Dust is all the way down in 13th at the moment, battling with Biker Pilot. Pilot's just made a mistake. Dust nearly got on the throttle too early in that Ferrari and nearly spun the back end round. Through Craig Jones they go. Dust is going to look, see if he can get him into Primera. Round the outside, he's going to try. Nope, not this time. Now he's going to drop down the other side. You've got the inside line. He's literally giving you the inside line there. Now take the inside again. It's a very much open corner. And that was just literally Biker Pilot getting a little bit too excited, driving above his limit, and unfortunately just took the car off the circuit by not having a Dickinson, however, are back together.
Today's not a day to celebrate for the Ferrari fans on the road, I think, so I will just shut up about that and let the race between the real car manufacturers play out on the road, as it's a Corvette and Porsche run. The balance is quite interesting in this GCE series. This might be the last time we see him. Season champion gets to decide the car class for next year. And I mean, we heard from the person that I think may have paid good money to put their name on the top of the event. I think people might be a bit sick of this class. It is dead in real life, completely gone. And I'm curious as to what they actually move on to next. GT3s, I think, are a little bit too cliche. Do you have any ideas of what you would sort of see on the road in the Endurance series, if not GT3s, because they're too easy of an answer?
If there's one specific car, now obviously recently I've got into driving the Aussie V8s, right? And I'm driving the league on a Tuesday. Mind you, I'm still learning. Don't get me wrong, the league's full of Australians. They all know how to drive this car. Me, still going. So that would be an interesting one as well, because that's a different driver's perspective, them cars, the Mustang and the Commodore. So if you want to, you'd have to go in one of them and see how you get on. It's somewhat a bit of a nightmare car, to be blatantly honest. So I'd love to see them. But I think for me, it would be just a flat out LMP2 series. Just an LMP2 series would be amazing. I'd love to see these cars in LMP2s.
Because it's a fixed series, so you have that one car. We don't need to talk about car balance every single week. If I'm allowed to pick anything, and I can pick even unpopular things, I'm sending everybody into TCRs for an hour and a half to 2 hours.
No.
Love them. But if I'm going to pick something else, then what about the GTP field? Which I think is... You don't see it nearly as much outside of the multi-class events, but they can race side by side like crazy. The hypercar spec is such a good spec for cars that can seriously race on the road. I love my LMP2s, but I also like seeing a field with lots of variety. I love TCRs, really, but, you know, I could argue about that one. For the next hour and a half, won't do it.
No. Stephen there as well. LMP2 is a great car. It is. It's absolutely amazing. And do you know the best watched earlier on is I recorded a broadcast earlier with Mr. O'Leary. It's just went out on a premiere about a few hours ago. LMP2s at Nords combined. Full Grand Prix circuit, full Nordschleife. I can tell you what, that car looks incredibly fun to be bombing around Nords. I'm not going to lie. on my list of things to do today was take the car around Nords, and I didn't get time due to obviously dinner and kids and all the other life stuff. But definitely on that for my agenda for at some point tomorrow to get that Nords car, that LMP2 around Nords, because it looked absolutely amazing from them guys driving them today. I'd love to see an LMP2 series. I'd love to see tracks that aren't necessarily not LMP2 friendly, for instance, like Nords. Do you know what I mean? I'd love to see them go around Nords for some of these drivers and see if some of these can get to the end. But I would love a full LMP2 series. I think just straight, flat out LMP2, go for it. That's what I would do personally if I had a choice of where I would put them.
If I can pick anything, I'm putting you all in Clios. Good thing I don't win these championships.
Done that already. Clio series are so much fun. But also,
I'm going to be running Clio in that special event. Going to do it.
They are awesome. But I will say one thing as well, is you said about TCRs, and I think for me, unless the TCRs get an update, I think that series could rapidly die out. And that's the problem. I think if the TCRs get an update, if they don't get an update, they're going to rapidly die out. There's so many more new TCRs now as well. The BTCC is full with the new hybrid system, and I'd love iRacing to do BTCC cars because that would be absolutely amazing.
Motorsport Games have lorded over that one, unfortunately, and taken any chance of us.
But they haven't got it, have they? But they haven't done it, have they?
They got the license, didn't make a game. That's their MO when it comes to these games. I would love to see more cars. I mean, but they like to follow the IMSA field, and the IMSA field is those 4 cars plus the new Cupra that just got announced. The thing about the community is, unlike something like the GTE, which sort of died out because GT3s kind of replaced it, there's nothing like the TCRs on the field, and I find that I've been really integrated myself in that dedicated community. They're very, very high skilled, and they'll be with me until the end of time. I think they'll be absolutely all over them. I would love to see more content. I'd love to see more on them. Notabin, on the road, there's a race going on, and I'm going to say Notabin is close up that gap, and I've seen him sort of move the nose out a little bit a couple of times, just enough times to make me think there will be a move on the books before this pit stop, but the pit window, probably about 10 minutes from now.
There's not, if anything, Notabin is in an amazing position now. And the amazing position he's in is he can save fuel. He can negate that final pit stop, which if they only go for 55 minutes, there's got to be a final stop. They're not going to make it. They're 10 minutes short, I think they are. So he's got to try and negate that final stop. And if he can do that by saving fuel for the first part, he will negate the stop at the end. And once he negates the stop at the end, he will literally be in prime position. That's all he's got to do. Negate the stop at the end, be in prime position when you go over the line. The car's not aggressive, and the movement's not aggressive, and Notabin's body language in the car is not an aggressive motion of a driver trying to make an overtake. A driver on an overtake, as soon as Dickinson went in a little bit deep and messed up the exit, a racing driver who wanted to get past would have gone for the move straight away. He didn't. Backing away from him, you can see him again, just letting him take his line into the corner. He's not aggressive in the car. So if Notabin is doing anything right now, he should be fuel saving like crazy. Because I think once they get rid of that final stop, he'll be in a great position.
That's one thing you get in the draft in these cars. You don't quite get a slingshot like we've seen cars like the Super Formula Light raced earlier, but you do get these marginal fuel savings, just not pushing against the air, just having that pocket open in front of you. And Dickinson's going around under high pressure, and that's multiple positions down the road. Dickinson he keeps ahead for all that time, and he's going to be kicking himself for that one. Back out of the top 3, stuck behind the teammate Bozak now. That's exactly everything Notabin wanted and more. I could see that rear end.
Yeah.
I could see that rear end sort of moving just before it happened. I could see that there was a chance, and I didn't want to believe it, but it happened anyway. That is a little bit heartbreaking, but I would say not race ending. We are not even on the halfway mark yet. Dickinson's just got to focus now. It's easy to get into tilt. It's it's easy to just start making more mistakes because you've just lost so much. You're not even halfway, mate. Get back on the road and keep on driving your own race. If you're fast, it'll come back to you.
Yep, it certainly will, and that's put another big spanner in the works for Dickinson now going into that pit stop window, which will take place very, very shortly, between 50 and 55 minutes. Now, they have said anticipating the tyre changes. No. Me personally, I would probably take one, especially being that we're in Spain, especially when it does get quite hot. I would still looking at taking one here, I think, for just to be safe rather than anything else. It gives you the tyre where if the people in front of you haven't taken it, go and have a good old go. So I think I would probably look at a couple of people down the back end, especially if the Springflower will, Gareth McAllister probably will in the Fords, Winecki in the Porsche, Dust in the Ferrari, Biker Pilot, Broccoli Motorsports and Ryan Schwab would probably all look at taking tyres. Whether or not Squilliam, well, he's worked them tyres pretty hard, so to be blatantly honest, it isn't going to be too bad. He does take them here as well. Howie, I think now is kind of settling in a little bit, getting to the fuel window and getting into the pit stop window, seeing where everybody comes out. It's going to be the interesting thing, seeing if we're going to have a race starting situation from when these guys go in the pits.
Well, on the topic of tyres, I think the compound on GT3s, I know, is incredibly hard. It's so hard that you pretty much don't even bother. On the GTEs, it could be similar. The problem is that this is a series where they can't change the tyres at the same time as putting in fuel. So you basically lose more than 20 to 30 seconds taking them on the field. Do you think you can make that back up on some of the hardest tyres in iRacing? I'm not convinced at all. I think we're just going to have to see that fall off as the race goes on. We're going to have to see drivers make the most of those. I don't think there's any window in which that becomes advantageous in this field. But now it is going to go down to the pit lane conduct, and it is going to go down to the strategy. Well, not really about strategy. I think everybody just runs the tank dry, but really we'll see gaps sort of close up after the pit stops based on the laps that people are running right now. That's usually what sort of determines things. I think we'll see a closing up in time, but for now, drivers just have to run their laps, and they'll end up where they end up. Notovin knows he's got a teammate now behind that if Dickinson gets within those 4 seconds he needs to make to catch up to the Corvettes, there's going to be a bit of a barrier in his way, and that's possibly where the pit stops could change things.
This man just about to play a massive role, especially Dickinson catches up and Bozak decides that he doesn't want him to go past him. Bozak can play a massive part in this championship as well. Let us know in YouTube chat as well, guys, if you are watching and you have got access to the chat. I know if you put it on TV, the chat does go, unfortunately. But let us know in chat, what cars do you think the champion should pick? What cars do we believe will be good out on some of the circuits? And give us your favourite circuit as well. I personally think every championship needs to finish it into Lagos. End of.
It's an amazing F1 championship venue, and I will have you on that. I have been racing. I raced the whole GT3 schedule this year, though, and it's been trickier in the GT3s. You sort of have to dive bomb people, and you sort of have to make big moves on them in order to get anything done. I find that the cars are way bigger and way boxier, and it's difficult to get around, and it's sort of like challenging for your own sake. It's less electric, I think, in those cars. I think you very much sort of run your race a little bit more and see how it plays out in the long game. I've enjoyed it, though. It was a bit of safety rating farm at the very least. We're in Schwab running in the back. I mean, he can now say, I was just letting you pass on the blue flag, all part of the plan. That's how I'd spin that. Even if it's not quite true.
There was no way he was doing that, mate. He went in far too hot in the corner. That back end come round. End off.
It's about spin. It's about sounding as if you know what you're talking about.
It doesn't matter. We saw it live. The guys in front at the front were nowhere near him. So unfortunately for Mr. Schwab, that was all on you. So if we gave you a free reign, Howie, what car would you put as the opener, and where would you put them?
Well, I've mentioned my cars, but what would I do for tracks?
Did you say GT3?
No, I know. I said I would.
TCRs, wasn't it?
Or GTPs. One of those two. I can think the GTPs are, but I would always get Daytona on the schedule if you want to talk tracks, and always kick us off at that lovely Roval. Big fan of it. I also quite like Charlotte's Roval as well myself.
Oh God, no.
I did the 3-hour
no.
GT3. I did the 3-hour GT3 multi-class on that during week 13 last season, and NASCARs are bricks around that track, but when cars that actually can drive around that track are kind of a joy. I'm in love with that place. It's technical, it's fast, it's challenging, but it's also smooth. It's like the best oval. It's like the best oval in NASCAR. And
not the oval, you said Roval.
Yeah, and then like it's got a pretty good. I don't want to drive the reconfigured one. That one looks.
Are you talking with a double chicane?
Yeah, like chicane. The only chicanes I've ever liked in my life.
Never in a month of Sundays. Jesus Christ, no.
I mean, Daytona's got big chicanes on it, and I'd do that one as well. You know?
Yeah, the Daytonas are a little bit more flowing than Charlotte, especially that last one. You're having to come from a left-hander approaching into a chicane, and you've got to try and get it stopped straight, and then some lunatic who just wants to go and dive up the inside. It's no. Charlotte is a no-go. I would not put that on anybody's calendar. I would feel cruel. In fact, I'd feel like the devil putting it on anybody's calendar.
Also, my life goal is to get Brands Hatch on every single league calendar, no matter what. I might just be biased. It is my local track, but I'm in love with that place. You'd see me on the track just for that week. I mean, I drive that thing like an absolute superstar. Love it to bits. It's not really. It's an interesting. Like it's not really a super tight battling track, but it's a real. Like it doesn't look like a driver's challenge, and it's a driver's worst nightmare. Love it to bits.
I think. Said car choice, I would go LMP2, and just purely because I think the cars would go amazing there, and it would be very, very challenging as well, mind you. I'd stick the LMP2, opening up the season opener at Sebring, purely because I've seen the LMP2s go there, and they are great fun to drive around Sebring. However, I would have Nords on the calendar for the LMP2s because I think that would be absolutely awesome.
I'm kind of like, I'm not going to say I'm anti-Nords because that sounds like a crime, but I have never in my life had a good race at Nords.
How can you not have a good race?
Because I'm bad at it.
Oh, well, there you go. That's the skill issue then.
But like, I'd rather just learn another track. I'm not going to use this to dog down Nord and say it's bad because it is just this absolute
it's your skill.
It's a spectacle. But I ain't doing that. Me.
That's your basically a Howie skill issue.
It's a Howie skill issue.
Yeah. That's anybody that can drive Nords loves Nords. I've been around there in multiple different cars, and I think it's absolutely amazing. On that one, what's going on back here with Eat My Dust? He's closing in on Jason Wonecki here. We'll do some little bit of maths on the team scores very shortly, and we'll also, I know that Eat My Dust is sitting currently at this moment in time in fifth. He is very close to Urko and Prince Adam, but he's losing time on both of them. Adam looks like he's going to be coming out the winner on that one, but he is the one with the least amount of points. So we will do some maths on that battle to see how that one's going to pan out as well. Pit stop window is now officially open. It will be within the next 5 minutes. I would have thought who's going to be able to go on the pit window, unless of course they cross over that hour mark. If they get over the hour mark, you're only going to see one stop. Okay, so if we get over the hour, it's going to be one. And I think that, to be honest with you, Howie, I think that should be, or should have been, everybody's aim here to get over the hour mark to literally limit having to have that second stop.
one more shout. How could I forget Long Beach? Of course. Yeah, I think like you want to spend this first stint absolutely running as long as humanly possible.
Yep.
Because two stopping kills your entire race. It just ends it on the spot. If other people are one stopping around you and then you have to go twice, you might as well just not show up today. If everybody's doing the two stop, then it just sort of evens out a little bit. You know, the estimations we get for that pit window are only estimations. It's the drivers on the track who really find out where those limits are. And we only find out whether they're interested in stopping once the first one makes that move. But once the first one does, everybody will follow suit. With the window this is looking in, it's looking like the next person that stops is going to start this, and then we're going to have one stops, because even though we're not literally on the hour, it takes, you know, about a minute to get down that lane and out, and then you can maybe save them the last 2 or 3 minutes. It's looking like this is possible to achieve. On the topic of the team championship, unfortunately, these two Ferraris, I think, are going to take a massive dip. They're missing a driver. Eat My Dust is only really squabbling for P11. These have been really competitive drivers this season. But maybe we can liken the VR issue to a car breakdown or something. It happens. They don't make the most reliable of cars all the time. You sometimes just have to watch Hammer Motorsports to find that one out. And it costs you a lot when everybody's gaining 50% more points than they used to. It really, really does. And with no drop weeks to count. It's a sad one in that team championship, I think.
Yeah. I do wonder, what have we got? Where's Dickinson's in 4th? You see about Josh Spears. How you doing there, buddy? You've been fighting your way through the field. He's in 6th. Might do some maths on that team championships in a minute and see how we're going to get on here very, very shortly. But for now, we are just climbing into that pit window. We've just seen currently Eat My Dust clear Jason Winegi, and has opened up a gap of about 1.7 seconds already. It's all calmed down quite a lot at this moment in time. Drivers are very spread out around the circuit. As you can see, they're covering all sectors of the circuit. There isn't much of a gap. 13th and 14th, which is Biker Pilot and Broccoli, they're on the same part of the circuit, give or take. Obviously, they're just about to be lapped, because you can see the leaders coming round on them now, who we are on board with, which is Squilliam there. And he's doing a great job at this moment in time. Up through Craig Jones he goes, coming up into the top part now. Portimao around the right-hander. And then you can see it goes down. Then he comes up round the left-hander. We'll go on the brakes, go round another left-hander. And then it'll tuck up all up into Sagres as well. And it's another up-down moment. Round we go. Then we're going to kind of level out just a little bit. You can see the level there. And then watch as he gets over the hill down into Galp. It's literally just a plunge. There you go. Woof. Straight down the other side. Straight on the power. And Squilliam there does another lap. No, he doesn't. He pulls into the pit lane. 58. Just touching 59 minutes.
You know what time it is. It's time for the top up. I think stop now and you make the 2 hours quite cleanly to the end. William making the first stop. I don't like making the first stop in GTs. This isn't a Formula race where tyre strategy really plays in. So really, in my opinion, you're putting more fuel in the car. You're running for longer and more fuel. So you sort of lose out. But also these things can depend upon air in your way, and sometimes you just want to set the pace of the rest of the race. As we said, Squilliam would love a win, but there's not epic implications on the line. So I think he's just in the mood to play his own game right now, quite frankly. And his own game he will play. He's been fastest on the road. I think after all of these stops even out, there's a good chance we see him up in first, but we are going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, it depends on where he's going to come out at the moment. He's got a bit of a gap. If he can get out, which he isn't doing at the moment. Oh, there's another couple of cars in. They've all literally dived in behind. Squilliam, Urko, McAllister, Eat My Dust and Winecki. All in the pits. The guys that have gone through, Notovin, Bozan, Dickinson, Adams, Spears and Amerman have all gone through on them there. So, yeah, it looks like we're going to see how they go. The top 6... going over that hour mark, Howie, do we think it's defo going to be a 1-1? a 1-1, a one-stop race?
But there's no way that you somehow magically burn more fuel on the second run. I think you pretty much stop in case of emergency, and if you do, then kiss your race goodbye. These drivers have been running out as absolutely long as possible, and that tank looks like it's got enough to just about make the second run possible as Squilliam finally makes it out to stop. Those are some very long pit stops. I don't know if the tyres there. I mean, ooh, a bit squirrely coming out of the lane. The tyres are cold no matter what after being stopped for that long. The car doesn't go up on the jacks at the same time fuel is coming in. So we'll find out when we see the scale of the gap. Squilliam here has to just run the greatest outlap he's ever run. And if that happens, he makes it back out into P1. If there's a massive gap behind, we can conclude he probably took tyres in this one. But these are some big fuel tanks. And when you're running with like full tank running, it does take a while.
Yeah, he's coming round at the moment, Squilliam. I'm just focusing on Notvin to see if he goes up on the jacks at all. Squilliam is that he does. He is going up.
Drivers are taking tyres.
Bozak did not.
I didn't see the drive. Did Notvin do that by mistake?
I don't know, but he didn't. Bozak didn't take tyres.
Because, I mean, we'll have to see what the tyre delta looks like. I'm not going to make this conclusive call. Absolutely, you run slower like this. But you can see how long this takes. It is agony doing this in a GTE car. The pit crew, we don't see them, but those, just me, there's not many of them on the road, and they're not allowed to do multiple things at once. Is that Dickinson
He's up on the jacks as well. Spears
so they're doing
is up. Yeah, Adams up. That could explain the 1:30 lap pit lane times here for them guys, because they have been on tyres, and Notvin comes out in front of Dickinson. Dickinson comes out in front of Squilliam by an absolute country mile. He is literally at the moment in time, Dickinson and Notvin. Dickinson's 8 seconds up the road. Notvin is 15 seconds up the road. And Bozak is 24 seconds up the road after that. Bozak did not take tyres at all. And it looks like our friend here, did you have a problem? Oh, your back end's coming round. Steady, steady. Watch.
We did see some little instability coming out the lane on the first time around, and those new tyres are absolutely ice cold.
Freezing.
Curious as to whether Bozak is going to take advantage of this massive gap, or whether it's going to end badly as the race goes on and we see these drivers close up. There's only one way to find out, and that is have another hour on the road. Why not?
57 minutes, or 56 and a half if you want to be precise, of more racing. Joshua Spears keeps getting close to Squilliam, and then Squilliam just kind of opens up the gap. However, if Squilliam does what he just did a minute ago, it will be game over for him, and Josh Spears will take the position away. One of the things this is going to do, and this is where I'm going to need to do some maths now, is Night Racing will take the team championship. I don't believe the boys up front of Up Front Motorsport, sorry, have got enough. So that's Sean Dickinson and Spears, but with Notvin 1 and 2 in Night, they're going to take the team championship as well. So not only I expect Bozak to let Notvin through, I also expect Night Racing to take the team championships currently as we stand.
We said they aren't quite qualifiers, but maybe they are indeed racers on the road. You got to be consistently good to make it into these top of this team championship, especially in a season with no drops, where we've seen some drivers have difficult days on the road. But this has been bringing the Corvettes to the front row in a row of Porsches. Love to see it, and really, you know, in a long endurance championship, the team that has been the most consistent absolutely earns that prize at the end of the day. It's a long hour ahead, and I do think there could be a battle still on between Dickinson and Notvin. If this gap closes up, it's just going to take both these drivers running the best laps they can, and then we'll sort of just check in soon to see how they quite resolve. Looks to me like Urko is really the only driver in an overtaking position. It was when I started that sentence, was now pulled it out a little bit. Drivers have settled into their grooves, but we've seen a mistake from our race leader cost him 5 positions. And we've also seen, well, we've seen the race leaders really lose it twice down the running, especially on these brand new tyres, or as the run settles in, we'll get some more of that. So that's going to be a real giveaway for the end results of this race.
Yeah, I'm wondering. It's really difficult at the moment because nobody's really gaining on each other, and I'll tell you why that is. The lap times are very, very similar in and around the people you're with. So the likes of Bozak that did a 41.09, Notovin did a 40.2. He's obviously quicker, but he's got 23 seconds to make up. Dickinson a 40.4. Squilliam there did a 41.43, but we saw he had his slide. Prince Adam did a 40.4. Then we go into the 41s of Joshua Spears, Gavin Averman, and Urko. Spring then touches the 42s, but he's only just touching the 42s with Eat My Dust, who's doing a 41. So this battle could come. And then you've got the 42s or 43s. So everybody is really close, and it's really hard because nobody's really gaining on anybody at the moment.
And the endurance racing as an art, it's very much about the long run on the road rather than the quick little dashes. Eat My Dust looking to make up anything left for his team in that it's a half scarlet, half white, half blue Ferrari. I do love the design on the road.
Call it the bazooka machine.
True. Yeah, the bazooka Ferrari, we'll just call it that. Springflower repping the Ford up ahead down the road, largely hasn't moved too far up or down the grid over the course of this race, but has been involved in some little battles here and there. Could happen again as Eat My Dust looks to finally make up some positions out of here. Now, what's interesting about this team strategy is that these teams are talking to each other, and I'm not really sure, to be honest, that Bozak and Notovin are going to plan much unless this margin closes up. Notovin's going to drive the fastest race he can. There's so much time on the road, and we'll see whether that costs Bozak in the long run not taking those tyres, or whether that was actually the strategy play of the day. But right now, a few seconds have been closed up. It's a long road ahead, a lot of time as well. Both these drivers have got to drive for themselves, and by driving for themselves, we just mean run the best laps you can back to back.
Agreed. Quali mode every single time. Yeah, and maybe not for Bozak because he's probably got to save the tyres at some point. But Notovin at the moment's closing in. He's doing a great job currently. He is closing in on Bozak while opening the gap to Dickinson behind. So at the moment, you can see Bozak was a second, 1.8 over the last 2 laps. But now, what is he going to be this time around? 1.4. Now, I do also wonder whether or not he's letting him catch up to go past Howie, because obviously the maximum points and the 8-second gap back to Dickinson is going to give Notovin the win.
Well, I mean, right now, Notovin's quite comfortably in that win, team strategy or no, and I don't think you need to play dramatic games in order to work that one out. If Notovin closes in, then I think we will see one driver just pull out of the way, not too subtly for the other. It would be it's the team game and it's a team championship, and I think we've seen teams working with each other effectively. It's just a part of what J2iCS is, and I do quite like that dynamic. For now, though, Bozak could feel quite confident that, he's got an hour to run and he could walk home with a nice win on the finale. Even if it's not your championship win, everybody wants a finale win. Squilliam knew this before it all went wrong. And now Bozak gets to have that opportunity without interfering too much in the championship fight, actually.
Well, the thing is for Bozak, he's got 2 things going for him, right? One, he's in the same team as Notovin. So even if they did swap, Bozak is still ahead of Josh Spears, right? So that will give Bozak 3rd in the championship. I don't No, he's 22 points back. He won't get second, but he'll
For me-
get third. So he would have already wrapped that one up as well.
My early calculation looks like Bozak will take third, but by quite a comfortable margin, and that is nice to... It's always nice to have comfortable margins. It's always nice to not have won in on a single point, because then you play what-ifs to say, you know, I beat you a long time on the road. It helps. As it stands, I think Prince Adam would be behind in 5th if this pack stays exactly where they are. I think the thing that's going to undo this race is mistakes, but we've seen plenty of those already. Those tyres get cooked.
Yep. I do agree with you, but I don't know if Bozak's going to lose enough time here. Unless all of a sudden he gets into the last 5 minutes and you just rapidly seen the times drop off. That's going to allow Notovin to close up. But could be an interesting one. Josh Spears, he's got... he hasn't got Gavin Haverman. That is Squall. That was Squilliam and Josh Spears nearly making contact down into Torvip there. And Josh had to bail out of the way. And Springflower, unfortunately, in that Ford, has had a moment.
I love watching it.
It's too fast. Watch, back end's going to come around on him. Too fast. There we go.
I love watching Squilliam race on the road. He's always one that sort of brings that wild card energy. I don't want to elaborate too much upon car choices for the future, but I was almost prepping to ask our champion what the car would be, and I've realised, rereading the rules, that the community votes on the car choice. So I think the consensus in the server is we won't be seeing the GTEs, but we don't get to find out on the day, unfortunately. Well, that's what next season's for.
Yes. Wonder what the calendar's going to be as well. That's going to be a very interesting one to keep a close eye on. But Squilliam will go over the line, sitting in 5th. 6 seconds, 7 seconds almost back from Prince Adam, who's got 7.5 to Dickinson, and Dickinson's got a 7 seconds, what was it, 7.64 to Notovin in front. Notovin's got 20 seconds. The gap was 24 to 25 a few laps ago. So Notovin closing the gap, but it's whether or not he's going to be able to do it in 45 minutes. Howie, unless Bozak slows right down, I don't think Notovin, unless there's team orders, I don't think Notovin could be caught.
20-second gap team orders would be diabolical. I think if someone pulled that on this race, I'd be actually pretty upset with a gap that big. The thing about Notovin in this position is really all he needs to do is focus on the gap to the car behind to win that championship. And if he does that, he doesn't need to over push it. You could say Dickinson lost his championship by over pushing it on a tight corner and spinning the car. Notovin was behind that, took advantage of that, but probably also thought in his mind, I better not do that myself.
I don't know. You can't really... I don't know.
People often say that to anything I say. That's fine. No one ever really knows what I have to say on the way. I do think if Dickinson's going to kick himself over one thing, it's going to be over that one spin. But it is also too easy to hyper-focus on mistakes. As someone that's been just doing a little bit of league racing in my own time, you might actually see it sometimes on the JPBroadcasting channel, me drop into a broadcasted race for some other leagues. It's easy to hyper-focus on one thing and think, this cost me position. This cost me that. I hate myself for it. But I will just sort of say, look at the bigger picture and look at the whole championship. I think you'll find if you do the maths on everything that happened in any given championship, there's a lot of times that things were left on the table which didn't have to be. And actually, it's the accumulation of all of those advantages being left on the table that make or break a championship far more than any one individual, spin or mistake or incident on the road. You had to lose a championship, you had to, not win that many races.
You don't have to win any to win a championship.
Very true. Yeah, you just have to
Yeah, you just got to consistently finish. There's no point. It's like I said before. You could be Max Verstappen in the car because you've got speed, but if you drive it like Nikita Mazepin, it ain't gonna matter. It's irrelevant. Your pace is irrelevant at the end of the day, and I think that's the thing. You don't have to win any races to win a championship. You've just got to be in the points.
And it's more about how the others drive around you. If the other drivers can't consistently win, and then you can just finish second in a long-run championship. You are very right. This series does give a couple extra points to fastest laps, but not a huge amount, especially has a much lesser impact in a race like this where the length is longer. So it sort of evens out.
Yeah, it does. Bozak's gap's down to 19 seconds. There's a slight little inkling that tells me that by the end of this, them two are going to swap. Just a little inkling, mind you. I'm not going to say it's team orders, and I'm sure Bozak won't tell you his team orders either. He'll tell you that these tyres were going off.
We'll interrogate that one.
I blatantly will. You know that as well when we come to having a chat with him. But I think at the moment, the gap is decreasing. Urko and Amerman battling it out with Schwab here. And obviously just going past Schwab. Schwab's a lap down at the moment. I think it's just 1 lap. Yeah, 2 laps actually. So for Ryan Schwab, unfortunately, he's lost another... no, it's 1 lap. He is 1 lap at the moment because the leaders haven't gone past him. But yeah, Urko, you're steady, son. If you approach that one like that again... That Porsche's not going to love it here, Howie, and Urko's got to be a little bit careful.
Well, good to see some battling still down here on the road. Urko was within that second a while ago, and has certainly closed this up on Ammerman as it's gone on. I mean, same cars. I do believe these cars have open setups, so they can drive just a little bit differently on the road in ways that we might not be able to comprehend quite from this booth. But this is a bit of a chase for glory between two same spec cars, but we've seen past this happen here before. If you just get better runs into the key corners on this otherwise technical car park traffic jam, there's those spots where, you know, not only can the driver in front make a mistake, but you can get these massive runs, or you can just have this advantageous line. We've seen Urko fight his way out throughout all the races we've seen so far. Urko has always been this character that's come up, if not for championship and win contention, then still for some great battles and some few incidents and accidents on the road. We're gonna see these two make a nice little chase for it, and it's good to see some battles still unfolding as this race strung itself out.
Yeah, there is at the moment. They are quite spread. The field is still quite spread out. Currently, this is the closest battle going Amerman and Urko, fighting it out for 7th and 8th here. And as they stand at the moment, Notvin will be the champion and Night Racing will be the team champion. Bozak will still hold on to 3rd place in that championship. So currently at the moment, that is the rough situation as we've got 40 minutes to go. Do you know what's going to happen here? And I'm going to predict this now. Is one of these drivers, I'm not sure which one, will push this car to the limit, the fact that the back end will come round. And it's going to happen within the next 15 minutes. They're both driving well within their ability, but they're also very much on a thin line where they can almost sort of sit back and think, this could go a little bit wrong. I don't think you're going to have the pace there, dear sir. Nope. Amerman's going to come and chop your nose off going down into turn 1. Now on the run up into is effectively turn 3, pulling it all the way back. Amerman does take a very tight pull back there. To be fair to him, Howie, you see Urko take a different line.
Yeah, we're in that sort of like send a dive bomb or wait portion of the track. around here, unfortunately. I've seen all the passes happen at the end at this point. It's just such a... It's become a bit of a pattern. Once you've been watching nearly 90 minutes around this track, you know where these drivers would rather send it in these cars, and it's harder to send it when you don't have ABS to save you in some of these tricky corners. Urko just has to wait for a chance rather than force something silly. And on the talk of your prediction about drivers sending it around, I think that's less of a prediction and more of a guarantee. I think as this run goes on, we saw it's very possible that these drivers took tyres because they saw what happened to Dickinson earlier on and thought, oh, these tyres last for a while, and actually they might have a problem on the road. Although I am still thinking Bozak could win this race. So I'm looking forward to seeing the delta between those two strategies play out. If there's an incident, I would expect to see it in about 20 plus minutes from now, but it will happen. I think that's a locked-in guarantee at this point. I wouldn't count on anything else as Ammerman tries to break the toe up ahead. I don't think this is really a toe breaking sort of car, though. It's about that top speed run out of the corner, and that might cost him tyre. Marco's not alongside enough to make a move, but he's looking hungry.
He is. He's been looking hungry all the way through as Urko. He's been up and around, and he's been trying hard, which is all we can ask when you're in a 2-hour race and you're an hour and 21 minutes in. And for him, it's could it get to the borderline frustrating though? That's the problem, isn't it? Frustration then leads into what can be deemed silly, rash mistakes.
We've not seen drivers come to blows with other cars at any point during this race. I think all the space has granted them the opportunity to avoid that. When it comes to overcooking and making your own mistake under pressure, possibly, but also remember how long this race is, you know the passing opportunities are fairly limited around there. You also know that there's, over 35 minutes of running behind this other car left to go. So, I think it's always smarter to just wait for that mistake rather than try and play games with the other car in front when there isn't a high pressure. I mean, there are probably championship position implications from gaining this, 50% points advantage on this track of all places in this position. But, it's less of a make or break, do or die. These drivers race because they love racing, but this is a track that rewards patience.
It definitely does. But that's the problem. The patience will lead Urko becoming almost frustrated, because is he going to sit there thinking, how much longer am I going to have to wait for Averman to make a mistake here? Is Averman going to make a mistake that's going to allow me to get through? Do we think that's going to be the problem? Or is Urko going to almost push his way through?
We have seen Urko make a few mistakes and come to blows with others in previous endurance races, so I wouldn't say it's impossible. But also, you want to put on a good but fair show championship finale, a little bit of both. So only really he knows what's going on in his head right now. There isn't massive championship implications, but there's still a race that you want to perform in, and that's probably more important than anything else.
Yep, finishing the race is better than putting you and Gavin Averman into the pit lane, I suppose. That would probably never be a good idea. Different lines coming through that corner. It's very interesting to see them run out of Portimao, because it's completely different scenarios. And it looks like Ryan Schwab has unfortunately had another moment now. This poor man is having a bit of a... Oh, dude, if you're going down to the left-hander, you want to get that car stopped. If you're not going to be able to get it stopped, that's coming round. Ready, and spin. So there we go. I feel like Mystic Meg. If only I could do that with the lottery numbers.
It's easy when you have the ability to click on a replay and say something happened here. As Urko finally gets that run down at the start-finish straight, it's what I thought was going to happen. Just getting a better run down the hill on that flat-out corner, and then having the straight-line speed advantage to make it past the car in front. It's measured, but it's also sensible. Ammerman isn't slow, though. If he tries to make a fight back, then we might see some more spice out here.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think Aberman has got the pace to stay with Urko. He's just got to be kind of big and brave like Urko was on him to be able to do that. Jason Winiecki has also just had a wonderful crash moment in the Porsche. I do love the wheels. The wheels are spectacular. There, you're coming in too fast here, sir. There we go.
It's less, maybe, I might contend this could be controversial, but there's an element of knowing that there's an incident.
What do you mean?
We go to replay, we're not replaying someone doing nothing, we're replaying someone doing something, and as a result, it's probably going to be a spin deep down.
I think it's
but it's been the same corner every time.
Yeah, it has, but you've got to look, whenever you're sitting back going, you know, like I can sit here and say, oh, that back end's coming round or whatever. Now, obviously, I don't know what they've done before that. They, like, you know, they might have hit the sausage curb or whatever if we've caught the full incident. I think it's when, obviously, I just get Winiecki has crashed. I don't get told what he's done, how he's done, or whenever he's not. You know, we don't know his brake failure, we don't know his, you know, steering failure, or like Simply Steve, the VR's gone. It's just literally guesswork. But if you can see them approaching into a corner, generally, and they're coming in at a pace, you can generally guarantee that they are going to end up spinning up. And I think that's the thing, of course. So, you know, hey, all sounds cool.
You've shown me that. You've shown me that. You're the one with thousands of races. I wouldn't, as you said earlier today, and I wouldn't take that away from you at all. But it's that same corner I've noticed over and over again. Every time we go back to one of those angles, we get the same angle because it's the same corner that's tricking people up. I think this whole complex definitely cooks these tyres hot. This is the blind corner I was talking about earlier. You kind of don't see that right hander until it suddenly happens and you're either on the road or you're off it. And as you run down here, it's very easy to just have burned too much in the tricky complex beforehand and make that little slide out of the rear end. The drivers on camera are making it happen, but we've seen plenty of cases of people make that mistake already, including important drivers with huge implications on the line, as talented as they all are here.
Yep, absolutely. But at the moment, we're still where we're at. It's still not of him for the championship. Bozak for third, Dickinson will take second, and Night Racing will still win the team championship. So there we go. But it's the positions a little bit below that now that will obviously Eat My Dust and Urko. Urko is ahead of Eat My Dust, and he's ahead of him by quite some way at the moment. So I'm just going to do some quick maths, I think, on Eat My Dust and Urko, just in case there's a chance that that swap could, it's happening. 186 Urko's on, 187 Eat My Dust is on, and Urko's sitting in 7th at the moment, which will get him 24 points. Eat My Dust is in 9th, which will, no it won't, because we're Crown Jewel, aren't we? That's the thing. 7 will get 36 and 33. So at the moment, Urko will jump Eat My Dust, and will Prince Adam jump both of them? That's going to be the question, as he will have 182. He will get 42, 412, 224 for Adam, if they are as they are. Urko currently will have 36. Oh, Adam will jump both of them, and he will go above into 5th if he stays where if the race is ended right now, Howie.
Yeah, I also had Prince Adam making it to 5th. Don't say we can't do the complicated maths at this time of day. It may be in Eastern America's time to shine, but the Brits can certainly make it up for when it counts. Yeah, having that multiple certainly does tricky to calculate, and then of course the drop weeks are like a whole extra level of calculus as well. I don't envy you having to bring the conclusive call on the road.
We don't. We don't. We sit there and go, this is provisional until it's announced in the community.
Very.
So, you know what I mean? We don't get ourselves involved if we don't need to on that one. But while we've got a minute here, don't forget the Endurance Series has been sponsored by Designers Home Gallery. You can go and check them out at www.nouglyfloors.com. That's nouglyfloors.com. Get ready to embark on a design journey like never before with Design's Home Gallery, your premier destination for all things flooring. And they've joined up for us for this year, so it's been great to have them on board for the endurance season. Really looking forward to seeing if they come on board, but possibly next season as well. But for a minute, go and check them out. That would be absolutely incredible. Links down in the description below for the two sponsors, so you can go and check them out there.
I could do a good floor, but also I might be on the other side of the world.
I think me and you have not got that option, Howie. You know what I mean?
It is indeed a shame, and I was just like quickly thinking about like the time zones, because we make it here at between 1 to 2 a.m. to make these races. This is obviously a very American-centric league we have, but I've noticed Spring Flower deserves all the props in the world for being French and running here at an even later hour than we are commentating. Indeed. Sometimes people will do anything to their sleep cycles to make good racing. I've done it before. It's probably not great for my health in the long run, but maybe I'm here for a good time indeed. I'm only European on the road along a field of people who, for them, this is a much more comfortable time to be racing.
I'm wondering if Spring Flower actually is French, though.
I've just seen a flag. I've got to make my guesses. Got to make my shot.
Gareth is Australian, which is about 9 hours ahead of us. So he's all right at the moment.
It can be done for the Australians around this time of day.
Yeah, because it's like midday. It's like me doing an Australian league, which is midday or 10 o'clock or 10 o'clock, I think it is, for us here in the UK. So, you know, hey, it's whatever time zone you can get it in, and as long as you enjoy it, that's all that matters. Here on the Race of June, racing 27 minutes to go of this race. You can see they're all very spread out. The gap's still coming down up front while extending to second place. I am expecting a swap here, Al.
Well, yeah, proves me right. He has been making up that gap to Bozak, and this is all because Bozak didn't take tyres. So even though the tyres don't fall off a cliff in this car, the longer it goes, the worse it gets for Bozak. And I think there's this sort of like cumulative effect of just how much that time's come down. Last lap must have been run almost a second faster. These are two drivers with the same sort of pace. Their fastest laps are very, very close to each other. But this tyre delta has added up a lot. And I guess they've decided that's a bullet worth biting for a race that got an extra half an hour, that you might just end up losing out if you don't take, even if you have that track position. It was a fascinating gambit up front. I was thinking no tyres, you were thinking some tyres, and ultimately I think this is a battle of ideologies between the two of us. Screw a championship fight. This is the commentary tyre strategy forward fight really playing out. And Bozak looks like he's in laps of lap traffic right now, so that might aid pulling up a little bit faster, although he's setting very fast sectors.
Bozak's right in the mix series. He's in between 11th and 12th currently. That is obviously Ryan Schwab. He is Bozak's there. That's not actually Ryan Schwab in between them here. Who is that in front? That is Jason Winecki in front of Bozak. He's just gone past Gareth McAllister in the Ford. So I expect Bozak to clear him, but he has just lost another bucket load of time to Notabin. I think it was about 14.5 or 14.8. It's now 13.6. Coming down.
bit by bit. Yeah, it's 13.5 now. Bozak fast driver, but you know, it's the tyres. It's the tyres, stupid, as someone would possibly say to me on the side of the street after this race, if only I was that popular.
I don't know.
1 second is the consistent gap in these lap times. Like, it seems as I cross the line, it seems to be consistently 1 second a lap. I'm not sure how many more laps are expected, but we can do very, very rough maths. It's been 57 for 3/4 of the race. It's about 15 to 20 per quarter of another quarter to go. That makes it possible. And yeah, if he does make it up there, are team orders even necessary at this point? You don't want the drivers taking each other out. But I also wonder if, with 10 seconds of Dickinson behind, you know, only a horrible mistake will throw it, and even then you can possibly recover from the spin in 10 plus seconds. Although maybe that's wishful thinking. Do you even let the pass go by? You certainly don't want to race hard in a situation like that. The one thing you don't want is for them to race hard, and I'm sure they've planned that anything that happens between them will be consensual and calm to clean out this championship for the team rather than lead to catastrophe.
Yeah. But I think they'll also swap over.
Could be either.
I would be very shocked if they don't.
Wouldn't bother me either way, really.
That's not effectively what you said 15 minutes ago.
Howie, okay.
Because I did hear the words of you would be quite mad if that happened.
No, I would be disappointed. I'm going to clarify, because I said, I wasn't quite clear at the time, I said a 20-second team orders, as in, if Bozak was somehow slowed up 20 seconds down the road to make space for Notabin ahead, that would be ridiculous, you know? That would be absurd. If Notabin's close, and Notabin's just driven past for the time has made up the gap, then of course it's fine. It would be diabolical, I'm sure you could agree, to tell a driver 20 seconds down the road, you're giving this up now and not later. I'm sure we can understand that in the middle of it all. But if they make it up to each other, then yeah, it is sort of... if he makes up all that gap in racing pace and they're on each other and a few laps to go, then it is realistic. Not my biggest problem.
No. No, I don't see it being a problem, to be blatantly honest. This is just aiding. Bozak would have wrapped up third at the moment. Josh Spears is too far back. He's down in 6th. So, you know.
The team element of the series is a part I quite like. I do quite like that you don't often see in all the iRacing leagues drivers form into these teams with contiguous liveries, with this expectation that they run with each other and they aid each other. Sometimes it's very much just all for themselves unless you get a lot of organisation around it. And one of the things I appreciate about this iRacing league, obviously teams are such an element in motorsports, but I don't quite see them play out as much here with 2-car teams. It's just a change of pace.
Yeah, I think that sometimes there's drivers. I think the problem with a teams championship is there's drivers sometimes in the league that don't have teams, and you know.
Well, it's secondary, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
sort of secondary to the way
I think it's just not to isolate people out. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking absolute waffle at 3:45 in the morning, but who knows? On that one, let us know again if you're on YouTube. Let us know your opinions on it. On that one, Bozak 141.937. Yeah, could be interesting. 141.3, 41.9, 41.3. Another 6 minutes.
It's coming down. It's coming down. Any bets in the chat as to whether it will be caught or not? I'd like to see what people have to think. I mean, the pattern is consistent, but I also look at that race clock and I think, blimey, it is ticking down. If it's 1 second a lap and 20 minutes, no, I won't do it. It's too late at the night for me.
What are you trying to do?
Just trying to work out like whether we can extrapolate out this 1 second a lap with the remaining laps to work out whether this gap will even be made up.
The fact that you used extrapolate in a broadcast is quite interesting.
I mean, I've got a background. Unfortunately, I have a background in programming.
Yeah, clearly your brain works still. So there you go.
It's the monster. It's the monster.
Using big words at 10 to 4 in the morning. You know what I mean?
Anti-establishmentarianism.
Yes. Let's go extrapolate on this one there as well.
Too many big words.
Yeah, I can't do it now. That's it. And if the cat sat on the mat, that's it. That will do for me. Yeah, don't worry, guys. We have still got racing going on, but they are just, as I said, fairly spread out. Nobody's really going to change the positions that they're in at the moment. Again, Bozak will finish third. Notovin will take the championship. Dickinson will still finish second. Josh Spears will finish in fourth. We've got Prince Adam will finish ahead of Urko and Eat My Dust currently where they are at the moment. On that one, Squilliams is obviously going to move up here. He's sitting in fifth, but he's a long way back in the championship for poor old Squilliam, so it ain't going to make a blind bit of difference to him whatsoever. But that will be your top five. It will be Notovin, Dickinson, Bozak, Josh Spears, Prince Adam will be the top five, and then it will be Urko, and then Eat My Dust will be behind Urko on that one. So, however, I am just going to do my quick maths with Eat My Dust's points. Just to make sure.
Sad that we lost the Swilliam win, but you could say it was self-inflicted. Nonetheless, he's obviously a super entertaining driver, but his focus was on the sprint series. That's why he's so far back in the championship. He's made the occasional drop into here, but that Super Formula Light was where he lived his life, and he really proved it to the field last time around that we saw this championship field. Great drivers start to learn their personalities quite quickly on the road, actually. I love it when you can tell that about drivers just from only doing a few races.
Yeah, that's it. Well, part of obviously what we're here for in general conditions. So I've got the top five: Notovin, Dickinson, Bozak, Spears. Then it's going to be Adam. Then it'll be Urko, who's 2 points back, and then Eat My Dust. He is 2 points back from that one. So 2-2-4 for Adam, 2-2-2 for Urko, and 2-2-0 for Eat My Dust at this moment in time. That's how they will sit going into this, and Night Racing will win the team championship, as it was just turning into a straight sprint. So, yeah, as we've got Josh Spears closing up on Squilliam there. Ooh, Mr. Biker Pilot, what have you been up to?
One thing I'm curious about is about the extent of penalties, we'll see. Another nice walk up into another tight corner. You can get out of there. You're not quite beached like you are in real life by the gravel, thankfully, this time around.
Unless it's raining, and then you get sort of semi-stuck in.
I'm just scared of the rain. I mean, I'm a gamer in the first place, so I'm scared of many things outdoors. I'm definitely scared of the iRacing rain on the road. It just seems to knock me out completely on my back.
Whoa, hold on. Hold on.
Don't want to see it. Oh no.
Oh.
We've been waiting a long time for a leading driver to make a mistake. That is, well, luckily he's the not Bozak race leader out of that championship fight, but anyone that put their bet on that he's going to catch probably just got that one for free. And
Dickinson's got a punch when Ryan Schwab.
It seems like everything just happens when we're not looking.
It's broke.
That is... Well, I can't fault the... Well, I can fault the driver that spun, but I can't fault the quote-unquote re-entry.
In the pit lane.
I mean, this championship was sort of written up for a while, but that's the final lock-in, I think. Then the meatball flag comes out, and Dickinson, with 15 minutes to go, is sent tumbling back. I will try and work out the championship implications on other drivers once we work out where he ends up out of the pits. That's diabolical. It's been these black Corvettes a few times. This track is really punished.
Yeah, but he just to watch his spins. He has got his brakes locked.
Yeah, I mean he's done.
Oh,
He's done everything he needs to. And
what's gone on in the last 5 minutes? It's like the witching minute.
the moment we go to replays, it's all just kicking off. It's Squilliam, another one.
No.
From first to backwards a few times. Probably a race to forget, despite the fantastic start.
Yeah, where's Dickinson going to come out? He comes out 7th. Hold on. Oh my God, hold on a minute. Surely not. Bear with.
He's cooking something. He's cooking something very, very big,
I am at the
I
moment.
think. Not have been within range. I mean, he was granted all of that time back on the road now, so we're not. I'm still not completely sure. At this point, there's no point letting him by, right? At this point, the championship battle's over. As long as you don't collide, Dickinson's done. I'd like to see him just sort of. He might get the pass himself, but I don't think team orders are mandatory at this phase. Earned your win. Although not have been running so much faster on these tyres, I'll say it sooner rather than later, no matter what.
By my calculations, now obviously there's nothing to drop for Dickinson here. He's had 2 drop rounds and they've both been 0 rounds. He will still take second, but only by 8 points over. Saying that, he's just gone up 1 more. So that's 2 on that.
It's
But
looking
he
like
will take second by 7 points over Bozak.
It's looking like it will still be that second on
Yes.
my end. I ran it at the same time. Yeah, but the teammates closed in quite heavily there, and at this point that fight for first is over. Not
Not
have
gonna
been
fight.
probably punching the air, knowing what's happened or having heard what's happened down behind, all kicking off with all sorts of unnecessary dramas in the last 15 minutes of this race, but it brings more to talk about. It brings plenty of excitement to this race. Wow.
It wasn't even within the last 5 minutes. That was the worrying. It wasn't even in 5 minutes or 15 minutes. It was like within 1 lap. We had Schwab went off, Dickinson went into it, and then Bozak crashed after that. Then Schwab went off again, and Brockley Motorsports went off. So unfortunately, within the last sort of 5 minutes, it's all been a bit chaotic. But there's the boys from Night Racing at the moment. Lumber Stern is not even going to have a go at Bozak, do you think? Or do you think he'll let him go through?
Well, as I mentioned, I think this Drivers' Championship is over. You know, there's not
Agree.
even a benefit to letting him by. But Nottavin has those tyres, and we've seen Bozak running slower every single lap. A driver that usually runs on pace with Nottavin has been slower. So I wouldn't be surprised if they coordinate this just on the basis of like, mate, you're obviously gapping me sooner rather than later in this thing. Let's just get it done and make sure there's no horrific drama. It's not really much of a battle as much as it's an inevitability. But I mean, they don't look like they're doing it. They don't look like they're doing it on purpose. This final little section would be a great opportunity to sort of open up the door for 3. Maybe they do want to have some fun to finish out this round. They've just locked in their championship, I say, before they inevitably come together and the cars explode or something. But knowing my luck, knowing I curse even the leagues that say they can't be cursed, but it's not looking like this is being given totally free. Nottavin should have faster speed through this corner. This is where there's a lot of lateral load on the tyres, but both drivers running about the same line. Now I can see that speed differential coming in. He's closing up the gap now, making it side by side. Lots of space on both sides. Please don't come together. They have not. Nottavin goes from yet again failing to qualify excellently to possibly taking home this race win with 10 minutes to go.
Yep. But Bozak, as he is at the moment, still will take third place in the championship. So there you go. On that one, which is ideal. Happy days. So it's still going to be Nottavin, Dickinson, Bozak, Spears, Adam, Urko, Eat Me Dust. That's my prediction.
There is a bonus point for pole, a bonus point for fastest lap. That's why we say it's provisional. The one time I called a championship on a broadcast on this channel, I got it wrong until they updated the results. But thankfully, it did it on stream. They did it in time for it to be corrected on stream. So, you know, I'll leave the heavy lifting to you around here. I think not even try and play those games myself. I've run too many risks, but. It was going to be a game of who finished ahead for this championship when that's the easy part, and Notovin has 10 minutes now to just not make mistakes. Surely he can just drive, I'm going to say slowly but surely, and not overcook and not overpush and not do anything stupid and take this win home. Sure.
He doesn't have to push that car. It would be ludicrous for him to do anything ridiculous in the next 10 minutes. However,
We have seen ludicrous.
We have seen ludicrous. And Gavin Hamerman and Urko are still together here. And as old Spook Duds, he will finish ahead of Springflower. So there we go for Gavin Hamerman, which is good for his championship as well. So yeah, some people have done well, some people have done not so well, and others have had their own little moments here in the 2-hour crown jewel race of the J2iCS Endurance Series with the GTE cars here. Looking forward to seeing the car choice. I wonder what that will be.
What's the dumbest car choice that we could get for endurance? I feel
Formula
like...
Fords.
True. I'm
Thank
going
you.
to the Formula Ford Festival this weekend in real life. I'm very much looking forward to seeing those.
Formula Fords. Or the
Hear me out.
SR10s. Go on.
Hear me out. Jetta, a car so fuel efficient, you don't get the top 2 hours. That's a good rejection. You know, it's okay to buy a rejection.
Do you know the problem is, right? I have watched some Jetta racing and over my time, and they provide some great racing. So, I go. Torvik goes in too deep. Is he going to be able to hang the around the outside now?
It comes through here.
Yeah, Averman gave him bucket loads of room, mind you. He had enough room to, could have got a bus for it to get, to be blatantly honest with you. So I think for Averman didn't really quite look like he was fully committed. But this could be an interesting one. Dickinson and Squilliam back on track for the last 8 minutes, close together. Oh, no, it's not.
You curse that one. I'm putting that one down. A lock-up. Oh, nasty lock-ups in these cars. I think some of these drivers are going to be happy to lose these cars. And maybe they might go to something about ABS. But one of the things, we've seen plenty of lock-ups all around the track. Some big, some small. And that's one going straight into the runoff. Surprised we haven't seen drive-throughs with the amount of times drivers have been massively running off the track. But it's true, they haven't happened.
Nope, there's been more spins than just sort of major lockups, to be blatantly honest. But again, as I said, that was just the nature of the car and going into the corners too quick. That's messed up, says Penny Dickinson. In relation to what, Penny? Exactly. Dickinson just making a mistake, you mean? Or sure, I'm getting it wrong. In that corner that we just watched on screen. But Ammerman and Urko providing us with the racing action for the last 7 minutes or 6 minutes. It's just crossed over.
Only a few laps left to go on the road now. These drivers are still looking to take that position for glory. Cohen and Ammerman have been having a little bit of a scrap what feels like the last hour as this race probably ends on about lap 72, 73. That's my guess. I'm not doing the maths. I'm just doing the feels on that one. Nah, probably 71, 72. That's a lot of laps to run on this track. I mean, I get tired after just 40 minutes sometimes in the GT3 Sprint Series.
Yeah, I did the official V8s at Road America today, earlier. Didn't realise it was the longest 21 laps of my life at Road America, considering we were doing 2:0. Well, I wasn't. The top drivers were doing 2:07s. I was in 2:09, 2:10s. and it was so long. I didn't realise it was actually that long in an official calendar, to be blatantly honest with you, but it was so long on that. And I did end up wandering off and thinking about what I was going to do for lunch and shopping and dinner and all the other real life bits that we do in IRL, because I don't think I've quite, at 47, I don't think I've quite got the attention span that I used to have once when I was a whippersnapper.
Do you know anyone with any plans for the Petit Le Mans? Big iRaces battle event this weekend, of course. 10 hours for the begins the field. I've got an LMP2 team ready to run the absolute gauntlet. Whether we crash or whether we live, that's another story entirely.
Oh, LMP2 at Road Atlanta. That's a special car combo, that is.
The multi-class is going to be chaos. I mean, think about getting B classes onto that track. It's going to be carnage.
You think you're going to have carnage? You go racing down turn 4 and you make one mistake coming out of going into 5 and hit the curb on the outside. See you later. It don't matter how many laps yet and how much multi-class you got in there. If you cannot master turn 5 in an LMP2, you are going to be in trouble. It's turn 5.
By the way.
Good luck with that one. Are you leading off?
Don't think I'll be starting. I think I'm going to teammates. So wait for that to dry down a bit. I'm the lowest skill of the whole team, but I'm also the glue holding it together. So they better thank me nonetheless.
Oh, play the power-hungry card, Howie Burroughs.
I'm only 1,000 irate behind the next one. It's all right.
Yeah. I've been working on trying to get my I rated up purely because I haven't driven it that long, and there were some things happening, and unfortunately my I rating plummeted, should we say, and now it's just sort of getting it back up again. So I've been I ran the SR10 at Nords last week. That was quite cool. I love that car track combo.
Up the SR10. I love the SR8, but I never really got into the SR10 series. But I know you're a very big fan of the Radicals. And
Yes.
I want away from you for a second.
It's very interesting watching Gavin Averman drive. I've been trying to sit here for the last 10 minutes and just concentrate and see what he does and how he's going to go about it. It's part of twitching coming there as well. Quite interesting to watch because he can get the car close, but then he just can't quite get the overtake done. It's really a fine balance, but he can get the car back close up to Urko, but he just cannot get the car alongside and get that overtake. But I'd love to see him just kind of go up and stick him in his pocket, and then next, send that car like an absolute trooper up the inside of Urko.
I mean, that's kind of the story of this track, really. We've only seen a few key overtaking opportunities exposed. The wideness makes you think you can pass everywhere, but these GT cars have only really found those few chances, and on the topic of few chances, there will be possibly between 1 to 2 laps to go for Averman. The white flag hasn't flown to lap 2, there's no way of knowing what's happening. So, probably finishes 1 of 72, so you only really get those good chances 2 more times. He's driving like someone with somewhere to be, and with someone to get past. Would love to see a move. You miss every shot you don't take when it's the end of the championship. Come on, man.
Yeah, I think we might be a little bit out on the calculations there, dear sir, because I've got a funny feeling you're going to see Barney this time around, because you're in the time limit. So Barney will wave, so Averman will have one more on that one. There he is.
72. Nailed it.
No, technically we're only on lap 71.
Yeah, and then it will end on 2. Nailed it.
No, because they won't complete the second one. Actually, technically, we're only on 71 now, so they're not going to end on 72 because it will end at the end of 71.
Maybe I'm never this type of day. I love. I could go on about this petty argument for the next 2 minutes, or we could focus on the race winner coming across the line to take their championship. I'll give you that.
There's no argument. I'm right, you're wrong. There you go. End of. No, that one there as well. as Notvin comes over. He's going to got half the track to go. Gavin Averman and Urko will continue to fight this out as they go through Galp now. Down the start, finishes straight. And it'll be interesting to see how they get on. We will pick them up. Notvin is literally on his way up through Craig Jones, a left-hander, who, as my good friend Craig Jones keeps reminding me, he is more important to me because his name's on a racetrack, apparently. So there you go. Thank you very much, Craig. Coming down into the left-hander now. We've got 2 more corners to go for Notvin, the van that is and should wrap up the championship here into Sagres. It's going to be one more run through Galp. He's going to go up a little bit. He's going to drop back down. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, take a bow. It is Notvin who wraps up the championship. He is the Endurance Series champion here. And he's wrapped up Season 9. Great job for Notvin. Season 9 champion. Did it on the final race of the season. And did a great job, Howie, to be fair.
I mean, all it took was not making mistakes for 2 hours. And he didn't. Dickinson had a right scrap with him down the field, but it was that one spin that just undid everything this race. Notvin was fastest on the road, never the fastest qualifier, but does that matter when you win the race and take the flag? Not quite. Arco's going to finish ahead of Ammerman on the road. Was a fun battle to follow down this field, but with 1.5 times points on the line, everybody gets to see some wild swings today.
Yeah.
Okay, celebrate the end of this real long marathon.
Yeah, Squilliam comes over the line. Urko, Gavin Averman, and Eat My Dust is going to be over the line, and we're going to wait for Broccoli Motorsports and Biker Pilot. But here comes Eat My Dust now, and the final 2 of Broccoli Motorsport coming over the line as he comes in through Galp. Down he goes the other side, and a great job for him. Yes, the season is done. And Biker Pilot coming in through Sagres, and then he'll be coming down the hill once more. So we'll get to hear from the drivers very, very shortly, I'm sure. But we've got it as a Notvin with championship win. Then Dickens. Actually, Dickinson's quite. No, he can't have lost that second place.
I believe Dickinson is second. That's what I think has happened.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I think it's not quite down far enough. But let's bring you up the race results here as we come to the end of the crown jewel. Notvin is your winner. Bozak in second. Prince Adam in third. Josh Spears in fourth. Dickinson in fifth. Squilliam in sixth. Urko in seventh. Then Gavin Averman and Eat My Dust round out 8 and 9. Springflower down in 10. Jason Winecki 11th. Gareth McAllister in 12th. Broccoli Motorsports 13th. Biker Pilot 14th. Ryan Schwab down in 15th place. The final runner was Simply Steve out, and Gal Rollis, who did not take to the start. Very interesting, I think, that race. I think if Bozak hadn't made the mistake, I think he probably might have taken it. However, Notvin was closing in at a rate of knots and then took the victory by, I think it was like 7 seconds over him in the end there as well. Do we think tyres was one of the main differences, Howie, on that one?
I think taking tyres certifiably beat not taking tyres. We saw it on the road. The time was being made up every second. I don't think either driver changing their strategy would have made a massive impact, because you also have to consider the effect of, you know, if tyres aren't taken on Dickinson, then does he spin even more than he did? You certainly don't get more grip on tyres that are that old. And that big spin sort of at the end from Bozak sort of showed that those tyres were getting very difficult on the road. Surprised to see it work out. The one stop did pay off completely, though.
Absolutely. Well, let's bring in Mr. Bozak here as well, a.k.a. Jaden Monofim Garin. Jaden, welcome in, buddy. How are you?
Oh, I'm feeling great.
You feeling great?
Yeah, how you guys doing?
I'm all right, mate. Not bad at all. I haven't driven for 2 hours around the track, though, mind you, as well. But I think that's wrapped up third place in the championship for you, right? I think at one point you were very close to Dickinson, but I think you finished 8 points off, I believe, or 7 points off. So you finished in third in the championship. Night racing has wrapped up the team standings. One of the questions I've got to ask you is, first off, you didn't take tyres, we are presuming, at the pit stop.
Yeah, we didn't. Well, I didn't take tires at all.
Right, okay. Not of him was closing in. If he had gotten close to you before the moment you had your incident, unfortunately, we did see that,
Yeah.
would you have let him through?
Oh, it would have been really close, but to be honest, I personally would have let him through either way. I wanted him to get the get the win anyway. But yeah, I'm glad it came out that way. And if I didn't spin, we would have been at least like a second close at the end. But I think he would have passed me anyway. So
But would you have let him pass, or would you have fought him to go through?
I would have let him pass.
Okay. No, that's fair enough. We did say that, to be honest, it would let him through to wrap up the championship, which he did do in the end anyway. How's the season been for you, though, dear sir?
Oh, up and down. But I'm glad it ended the way it did. I'm glad I learned the car like the way I did. And I'm glad that the team won this.
Absolutely. Great job for you on that one. And well done. What car would you like to see it be next season?
I honestly don't know. I haven't thought of it yet.
You didn't come in with any shape. You didn't come in with an idea of what it might have been or what you wanted it to be?
Honestly, I would have liked an LMP2 series, but I don't know.
God, dude, great. I said that during the broadcast. Literally said that. An LMP2 series would be awesome.
It would be. I honestly have a lot of fun with that. I like that car, and if there's ever a chance that LMP1, like the old LMP1s, like the R18s and the 918s came back, I am all in for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I said I watched a race earlier on, LMP2 at Nordschleife. Oh, bro.
Oh,
They were topping literally 190 going down the Dottinger Hoe down at the back end. If you want to have a blast, just put one in the test section and go for it. It'd be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, driving the GTE there is already a blast, but I can imagine LMP2 being better there.
Oh, it was insane, dude. It was absolutely insane. I could go on about that race all day. Anyway, just for you, check it out. It's on the JPB YouTube channel. Anyone you want to shout out, buddy, before we let you go?
Oh, congrats to my teammate for the win. Thanks for the team for keeping me here and for the win, and the team win, I mean. And thank you guys for broadcasting. And thanks to my friends if they're watching. That's it.
No worries. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Right, and next up, I'm going to bring into the booth somebody whose name I am not aware of at this moment of time, dear sir.
We have Prince Adam.
With Prince Adam there as well. Just to let you know, by the way, just for maths, you looks like you got the 5th place in the championship, Adam.
Oh, yay. I like exciting news.
Yes, and you did it by 2 points over Urko and 2 points over Eat My Dust.
I've had a rivalry with Eat My Dust throughout the year, so I'm excited to get 2 points on him. He's a tough competitor.
Yeah, didn't grab the team championship, so that was obviously a 1-2, has done night racing, a massive thing out there as well. How was it out there, and how has the season been for you?
It's a long season. Season was tough, lots of ups and downs. Transitioned from VR to racing on monitor. Worked on racecraft. It was just a really long, tough season. In a car that I'm not super confident in, but I'll take what we can get. Out on the track today was fun. The setup was rapid. The car felt phenomenal. I just knew if I trusted myself and hit my fuel targets that we were going to come away with a decent result, and that got us a podium today.
Yeah, it definitely did. You wrapped it up on a third place as well. So great job. Listen, quick question. I just asked Bozak the same thing as well. What car would you like to see next season?
I would like to go back to GT3. I struggle, skill issue, bricks of failure. I can't swap between that many cars, and Super Formula and GTE and GT3 and a little bit of prototype. It's too much for me. So I would really like to see us go back to GT3.
Oh, okay. Bozak said LMP2.
But the LMP2 is rapid. It's a good car too. I wouldn't.
car.
I can't say I'd be upset about it, but I would like to see a GT3.
Okay, buddy. Well, let's see what comes out on that one. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
I got to shout out my teammate Squilliam. I got to shout out our B team of Spook Dubs and Broccoli Motorsports, and I want to shout out J2i for putting on another phenomenal season, and you guys as well for being phenomenal broadcasters.
Awesome, Joe. Thank you very much for your kind words there, dear sir. And look forward to hopefully maybe seeing you on track next season.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Take care, man. Right, and next up is your champion. By the maths that I've done that probably shouldn't be trusted at 4 o'clock in the morning, but we tried it anyway. He is the man. He went out and he literally overtook his teammate, partly because Bozak did make a mistake as well, but he probably would have got there before the end. It is the night racing driver of Nottingham. Welcome in, buddy. How are you?
Oh, I'm amazing.
Good. So you should be. How does it feel to be champion?
Pretty good. Wish Sean would have kept up with us until the very end, but I think he had some issues with the lap car I think I saw.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things where I don't really think it would have changed too much anyway, so I don't particularly feel too bad about it. But just kind of one of those things where you have a long race like this, you have to kind of keep it on track at all times.
Yeah, and to be honest, it wasn't even Ryan Schwab's fault. Ryan Schwab spun up his car. And he held his brakes, so fair play to him. And then unfortunately, Dickinson just come round and literally T-boned him on the exit of the corner. There was not a lot Schwab could do. He was just stuck there. It was kind of one of them on that one. But listen, you've gone and done the championship. Now I'm going to ask you a question. It might be a bit controversial. Is there anything you feel that hasn't been your best this season?
As in like aspects of like
driving.
Yeah,
driving.
Okay. Qualifying, 100%.
It's consistent. I'm glad you said that.
It's consistently been my weak point, and I do think a really big part of that is just at least I know I don't believe Sean does near as much endurance racing as I have, especially in these cars, and I think it just comes down to that. I'm too used to doing 6-hour races, 24-hour races, and it's just like that habit gets put into you, and then I just don't push enough for quali, and I don't I'm sure for them they probably have dedicated quali setups. Our quali setup is just 15 liters of fuel. we take the fuel out and we're like, okay, if we qualify nicely, that's nice, but we don't expect to.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? When you've gone in and had one pole and Sean's had 8, there's an area of difference, isn't it? But the thing is, it didn't really seem to matter because your race pace would seem quicker. You've had more wins than him this season. You're both drawing on top 5s at the end of the day. He's obviously got more bonus points than you. But again, I think if your race pace is there, I don't see it being too much of an issue where you qualify. It just, unfortunately, it gives you a little bit more hard work going into the race, doesn't it? That's the only downside of it. On next season, if we said to you, right, you've won now, pick a car, what would you pick?
I'm honestly, much to the dismay of a lot of the other guys in the league, I'm a huge fan of the GTEs. I love driving them. I don't much care that they're not really ran in the official series anymore. They're so much fun to drive and whatnot. So, but from the feeling of everyone else, it seems like we're probably not going to be running these cars. And for me, my next top pick would probably be the LMP2. But that's just me personally. really do not like the GT3s. I think they're horrendous to drive, and I really don't want to drive them next season.
Oh, we're 2 up on the LMP2s then, because I said, well, 3 technically, because I said LMP2 as well. Bozak said LMP2, and you've just said LMP2. However, we did have an LMP GT3 from Prince Adam. I'm guessing simply Steve don't like the GTE, judging by the race name. Also, everyone vote for something not GTE next season. So, you know, I'm guessing there's probably quite a few. But look, I think it's been great. We've only obviously come in for a few rounds, and what we've seen has been absolutely amazing as well. So it's been a pleasure having you up in the booth and having a chat. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, I always give shout outs out to Bozak. He's such an amazing teammate. He makes all the setups. Quite frankly, when I ran this league without him, I definitely was not winning as many races as I am right now. So a lot of the success of this season has to go towards him. And I just would like to thank everyone in the league, all the drivers. They all race pretty clean. The admins, they make some controversial decisions sometimes, but as do all admins. And also you guys for kind of stepping in midway. It's really cool to be able to get out of the car and watch the outside view of what's happening in the race, kind of see some people die sometimes. That's always nice. That's always nice to see. And also just generally all the racing and whatnot. I know I saw a lot of cars battling from like third down, so it'd be interesting to see those guys, even though my own race wasn't all that interesting.
Yeah, well, as I say, it's been a pleasure having you up here with us, and look forward to hopefully seeing you on the track next season.
I certainly hope so. See you in 4 months.
Later. Right, Howie. Welcome back in.
Woo!
They all seem happy.
Well, it's been a very, very fun season. There's been some fantastic races and lots of ups and downs and a nice championship shootout at the very end. I think there's a lot to be happy about.
Absolutely. I do fully agree. And that's going to wrap up the season. Thank you so much for joining us here as well. And much appreciated for coming along for the ride for the last 4 rounds from when we took over at Mid-Ohio. But that's going to wrap it up. That's the season ending, and much appreciated to all of you. I've been James Parfitt. I've been alongside Howie Burroughs here, and as always, take care. Have a great week, and you never know, we might see you on the track next season. Good night.